We started planning for this about 3 months ago. And we had a debate. We said, maybe 50 people will show up. Maybe 100 people will show up. And we have a debate. One of us has won. As of this morning, we have 250 people show up. 250 people registered.
And we had to close down the registration.
Yeah. Jay, have a seat. So the code accommodates 225 people. So we are actually hoping not everybody shows up today, right? We have a super packed agenda. We go from 8:30 to 8:30. We have 8 keynotes, 8 panels, an award show. Are you guys ready for today? Okay, I know people are locked up on the highway, but we'll get started. How many of you have a smartphone? Everyone. Some people have 2, I have 3, right? How many of you remember the time before the smartphone? The cell phone. Okay. So we will talk about the birth of the cell phone. We have a surprise for you guys. Now, before the cell phone, we had a pager. Anybody remember the pager? 7 people. Erica, it is before your time. So it's my honor to introduce someone who took paging from 1-way to 2-way nationwide. Number 1. Number 2, how do you guys use the cell phone today? Amy, how do you use your cell phone? For everything. Becky.
Gosh, for mapping, for photographs, for communicating, for work.
Yeah. And you know, your kids use the cell phone for texting, right? We have somebody who made texting ubiquitous, made texting globally, commercially viable. He sent the first text anywhere in the world. This happened at SkyTel. So the person I'm going to introduce you is the founder of SkyTel. He took it public. He ran it as the CEO. He just told me he sold it for $1.9 billion. In today's terms, maybe it's $1.9 trillion, yeah? And then he sent me his bio. And it took me 3 hours to read his bio. It's so long. So we don't have time to read his entire bio. But he started many, many businesses. He has had amazing roles. Along the way, Vice President Al Gore, how many of you know somebody who won the Medal of Honor at the presidential level? I don't know anyone. Actually, I know one person. He won the Presidential Medal of Honor in 2002. Vice President Al Gore gave it to him. In 1995, he was the Man of the Year, Person of the Year by the Wireless Organization. It makes me look so insignificant, right? But this morning, Jay Bhagat said the best job is running Thai South Coast. So, friends, ladies and gentlemen, would you give Jay a standing ovation and welcome him? Please. So Jay is the president of Thai South Coast. He is the champion sponsor of this event. It was his idea. A few of us are helping him bring his dream to fruition. Let's roll the video.
While they're getting the video, you were saying we talked about having this AI conference. How many of you remember the TV show or TV series called A-Team? You remember that way back? Yeah. And the boss of A-Team, I can't recall his name, he used to say, I love it when the plan comes together. So yeah, I'm so delighted to be here. While they're getting video on, we took one principle, JGID. How many of you know what JGID is? Just get it done. This video we're going to show you is a little bit outdated, but still captures what Thai is, what our mission is.
Thai helps young entrepreneur in fostering and mentoring what needs to be done as a business, and that could be in form of capital, it can be in form of training, it can be in form of education.
What I would say about Thai is full of very interesting people. There's a lot of diversity in the interests and skills of the people that are there.
They have brought a discourse to the entrepreneurial world that doesn't appear anyplace else.
There's very sincere interest in creating an environment for innovation and inclusion and inspiration and support.
Thai is mentorship to budding entrepreneurs or someone who wants to scale their company.
Thai has always been an excellent place for me to network and also to find out what's happening in technology and the world.
Thai for me is a way for me to give back to somebody else who could use that same help.
The things that I think Thai does is that's terrific is bringing out, on a monthly basis, speakers and people that stimulate the thinking and education.
The events, the panels, the stimulation that you'll get in terms of new ideas is important, plus the people that you're going to meet and interact with are some of the great people in town.
I like to help other entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, form a company, to get funding, to launch their companies, help them with, positioning, who their customers would be, and things like that.
Every time I think that I have learned everything, I'll meet some bright guy at Thai who really makes me feel dumb because he knows a bunch of stuff that I don't know. Keep learning. And keep getting educated. Thai is the best place to do that.
I think the other area that Thai could really scale up is in bringing investments to these budding entrepreneurs. Some of these entrepreneurs have great ideas, but they need to be connected.
I'll be brief. I'm looking at my watch. Don't want to run over my time. This is a kind of outdated video. We have recently initiated a lot of exciting programs. You will hear about Thai women later on today. We have a Next Gen program. We have the investment program. So we are rolling out those programs, and you will be getting more information on those. With this, I'd like to go to the next slide. So, okay, wow, here's someone who just looked at the video. My good friends from, if can I say, for the last 45 years, I know Namadi and Arlene since 1980. Don't tell your age. I'd like to bring both of you here on the stage. Please, if you would come in. Please give a big hand to both of them. Marty is the father of cell phone. Give a big hand to Marty. And Arlene is the senior entrepreneur.
Sorry.
Entrepreneur. You are CDI Hall of Fame, and they're wireless of Hall inductees, both of them. I'm here to present to you, Marty, Thai South Coast Award, to honor you for the award you got last year, the Presidential Award on Innovation. May I, where's your trophy, please? Okay. We are so pleased to, Marty is one of us, he's our charter member. And both of them have been involved with Thai for a long time, as you could see from the video. Marty, with my honor.
Oh, thank you so much, Jay.
Thank you. Do you want to say something? Do you want to? Okay. All right. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Arlene. Let's go to the next one. Okay. I would like to recognize our sponsors. We have, I'll save the first one for last. We have Dell Technologies. We have TCS. We have Rajnikant Gupta from TCS here. Adia, Dr. Kang. Is he here? He's going to be a speaker. Yeah, okay. Dr. Kang. Sipra Sujit. ATS, you don't want to know his name. He was on the video. This is Sandeep. And Avasant, we have Kevin Parekh, and Naresh Lakshmandas. And 2468 Ventures, somebody who opened the meeting here, I don't know his name, Pankaj Kedia. And Risk Ops, that's AJ, he's running late. He should be here shortly. And now I'd like to thank for this wonderful facility. Time after time, they have hosted these meetings for us. That's our host and our sponsor, Kenobi Martin. Hangsu, where are you? Please, if you would come and say a few words. Please give a big hand to Kenobi Martin and Hangsu.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Kenobi Martins. What a great turnout and what a great AI energy in this room. This is by far the most number of attendees we ever had in this room. Fantastic job to Jai, Binay, and Thai management team. Let's give them a big hand. So for those who don't know about Kenobi, I wanted to give a 2-minute introduction. So first of all, we are very proud sponsor of Thai South Coast. We have been sponsoring Thai over the past 15 years. We are committed to continue the sponsorship in the years to come. So Kenobi is one of the largest IP firms in the country, 7 offices nationwide, 300 practitioners. We have headquarters in Irvine. This is our second biggest office. We handle all aspects of IP, patent, trademark, copyright, including licensing and litigation, and we cover all technologies from biotech to semiconductor to AI. So we are consistently ranked at the top by outside evaluation company as seen in this slide. This is a recent LA journal that talks about Kenobi shooting for the world's best IP firm. The gentleman on the left is our managing partner in OC. This is me. I've been with the firm over 24 years, handling electrical, med device, and AI technology with a strong emphasis on strategic claim drafting and patent office examiner interview for quick allowance. I'm currently working with many technology companies. This is my contact information. I also put my cards on our booth at the reception area. Thank you very much. Enjoy the conference.
I have 1 minute left. Yeah, it's my pleasure to also, I will do that again, to introduce in my opening Kevin Parekh, who is a Thai Global member of Board of Trustees and our sponsor. And we have a lot of people here from Orange County and LA. Please give them all a big hand. And lastly, I would say that our Thai San Diego chapter is doing extremely well. We grew by 40%, over 40% last year. And this year, in the first 3 months, we have grown more than 30%. So thank you, team. You know, we got a great team and a great cooperation. We work all together. And like you said, this is the best job I ever had, Oh, now let me bring here the man of the hour, Ram Petrachari. It was 4 months ago, we talked about creating an AI committee, and that led to we should we should take the lead on AI in the U.S. And we found a man who was willing to take the charge and come up with the idea of having this conference.
I didn't know better.
Ram, he's got many, many years of experience in the gaming industry. He's worked with a lot of tribal casinos. One thing this man doesn't tell me, I keep on asking him, tell me what machine is going to hit next. You're not shared that secret. With this, Ram, I'll hand over to you. He's the chairman of the conference, and you're going to be hearing from him all day long here.
Thank you, Jay. Big round of applause for Jay. And I don't know if you mentioned, Jay is in the Wireless Hall of Fame as well. So big round of applause for Jay again. So just to start off with, it's going to be a really fast-paced conference here. So we have about like 30 speakers, and we have like 8 hours. So each speaker is going to get like 20 minutes, and the panel will be like 35 minutes. If you have any Q&A, I would save it for later. And basically just like do a one-on-one with these speakers. So quickly, just to go through the whole program. And don't forget, mark your calendar for like next year, March the 28th, 2026. We're going to do a conference, and it's going to be bigger and better. And before, quickly, just a reminder. So there are like fire exits. You can see the exit sign. And then there are restrooms. Just to go outside onto your left. The restrooms are there. And so they're going to be, the format is going to be like speakers every 20 minutes. And then there are going to be like panel that will be about like 35 minutes each. So the morning, it's going to be a mixture of both like speakers and like panels. And the lunch will be at 12 p.m. And it's going to be AI, all Indian lunch. And that's going to be followed by industry vertical experts. The industry awards will start at about 5 p.m. You don't want to miss that. Just like quickly, So there are going to be, I just like mentioned, multiple keynotes, presentations, panels in healthcare, finance, security, hospitality, and defense. And with that, I would like to, go ahead.
Are we following Indian Standard Time or US time?
US time, and we are going to start on time, like every 20 minutes and every 35 minutes. So we're going to start the, what do you call, the Oscar timeout practice. So if you're delayed. So with that, I want to bring Jay back to the stage.
You know, we are right on time. And, you know, I'm afraid of one guy here, this guy. If you run over your time, as you've seen that, how nasty you can get. So, okay. With this, now I'll like to bring on board here our first keynote speaker. That's no other than my friend, our board of trustee, Kevin Parekh. Please welcome him. A little bit information on Kevin. He is a former presidential appointee by Bill Clinton. He is a chairman of Everson, our sponsor. He is a chair of UCLA Innovative CEO Board of Advisors, Board of Trustees, USC Center for Political Future. Is a best-selling author, Digital Singularity, and of course, he is the Board of Trustees. Kevin speaks all over the world as a thought leader on innovation and the human condition. Actually, I heard, Kevin, your speech, and after I heard your speech, when we were organizing the AI conference, we got to get Kevin. With this, I present to you Kevin Parekh.
Hold on, Jay. One second. Can you hold on, Jay, for 1 second? I noticed that you don't have a tie pin, and this is my tie pin from the Board of Trustees. So I'd like to give it to you.
Oh, no, you don't. Oh, thank you. I'll put it. Thank you. I'll take it. Thank you very much, Kevin.
I think this gain is too high. Today I'm going to talk to you about one of the most exciting subjects for every entrepreneur. We're going to talk about how to sustain leadership through controversy, through challenges, and disruptions. But how do we do that? What separates the amazing entrepreneur, the successful $1 billion sale, from an individual that is less than successful? How do we measure success? It comes down to one thing: innovation. And those entrepreneurs that are able to imagine it, catch it, and empower it succeed. And those that don't fail. You may not know, when we talk, whenever I go to the Silicon Valley, and it's so good to be back home in Southern California, where real entrepreneurs live. And I say that because everyone in the Silicon Valley is a wannabe entrepreneur. But entrepreneurs are not sexy. They don't have startups that fail and start. They just work. They work every day, tirelessly, for their employees, for their families, and that's where that success comes. And every now and then, they hit that point of innovation, and they skyrocket. I think I lost my slides. There we go. So since the beginning of time, humanity's, we're calling India. We have the founder of the cell phone here. Can we please have telecommunications? Okay. Since the beginning of time, humanity's greatest challenges have triggered extreme disruptive innovation. Just hold on to that thought for a minute. We're gonna marinate on that. And subsequently, with every new challenge, and has come a new innovation that redefines global supply chains, redefines businesses and redefines the way the world operates. And the reason we bring this up today is because if you can imagine when those disruptions are going to happen, you're going to be able to position your businesses for success and also to get through the many challenges. You know, as the CEO of Avasant, we've gone through the dot-com boom, the bust. We've gone through the credit crisis. We've gone through challenge after challenge, COVID. And through every challenge, we come out stronger. How? What are the things that we must do? Well, we know with innovation, it has a cycle, right? Think about the horse carriage. The horse carriage led to the innovation of the automobile. But it wasn't just what happened to the horse carriage and how the automobile changed global supply chains forever. But in one day, literally, the way that we transport and move ambulances, police cars, sanitation trucks changed. It changed with the advent of the automobile. And overnight, labor was disrupted, which meant that the people that were supporting the ecosystem of that ended also. No one needed to build the tires for the horse carriages or whatever those wooden wheels are. No one required to take care of the horses or the stables, and all those people lost their jobs. You see, innovation brings job loss and labor displacement, and it is followed by a cycle of labor productivity as people that are in that industry become retrained, reskilled, or they leave the industry until the next innovation. So understanding these innovations and positioning our businesses in the right point to take advantage of these labor cycles not only creates opportunity for the human condition, but also for our businesses. But what's happened since the dot-com boom? The advent of the cell phone, the displacement of standard telephony. Well, with every new innovation, as we've been tracking, we go through this cycle of underemployment and productivity again until we reach equilibrium, and then again a new innovation comes to disrupt us one more time. This is a cycle that exists. It has existed since the beginning of time. My theory on this subject in digital singularity is that we're coming to a point where these innovations are coming so fast that humanity can no longer adapt quickly enough. And that adaptation is creating an impact on the human condition, which means that we have to find a way to survive and live in this new wave of innovation on a permanent basis. And that's what we're going to talk about today. In this new world where AI is everywhere, labor productivity must go up and specialization must go up. Because being a generalist means that you don't know anything. You are nobody. If you can go to generative AI and go to GPT or whatever you want to go, you're going to get the answer in a second, right? It's going to innovate for you. Labor volume goes down with these types of innovations on a permanent basis. So what do human beings do? With every global crisis, we see a disruptive innovation that takes us out of the crisis and the new world order rises. We saw that after World War I, World War II. We saw that in the Cold War, and I'm gonna dig into this a little bit now. With the end of the Cold War, what displaced it? What caused the end of the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union? Many people think we outspent the USSR in military and technology and innovation. It's actually not true. What happened, what ended the Cold War was actually the internet. Because information finally made it to the Russian people and they recognized, Gorbachev and the rest, if you remember those days, recognized that liberalization was going to happen, whether we liked it or not. It was this innovation that was invented by the US government through DARPA. We mentioned Vice President Gore. I was in that administration. He said he invented the internet, and everybody laughed. Well, it's not so untrue. This was a government platform, and he liberalized it for the entire world to use. So I'm going to take that back for a second. I worked in that administration, and there was some truth to that statement, although it was It was twisted by his adversaries. The reality is the internet was so ubiquitous, it caused a total realignment of the New World Order and created a New World Order, right? And that led us into the information age. From the information age, we were hit with many minor disruptions until we hit COVID-19, which led to the next major disruption. Of course, organizations like CEPI developed the vaccines that brought us out of the COVID crisis, but that wasn't the innovation that really saved the day. It was the digital technologies that were turned on overnight by our friends at Microsoft, and we'll give them a little hot shout out since they're here, and other companies that made video conferencing capable for us, that allowed us to really enter the age. How long do you think it would have taken us to embrace that technology? Today, we can't imagine having a call or a conference call or a meeting without having video technology. You can't even imagine it. It was just a few years ago that we were just using our cell phones, right? Or maybe a standard line. So everything changed overnight, incredible disruption, and the digital age realized, okay? So what's next? What is coming after this, and how do we predict? Because as entrepreneurs, we have to be great predictors. We're in the midst of what we call the third crisis, the polycrisis. And this is multiple issues that are affecting the world, from conflict zones to lack of resources, and of course, trade wars and whatnot, right? And we're in the midst of this. This polycrisis will be disrupted by the next technology innovation, AI, which will result in what we're calling for the last 5 years under digital singularity. This is the book I wrote in 19, the imagination age, okay? And in this imagination age, we will have new opportunities for innovation, but more importantly, we will solve many of the grand challenges. I'm going to talk a little bit about this. In 2018, I started mapping the global conflicts. And if you take us back to 2018, pre-COVID, we were not in any direct conflict with Russia, right? China was our, and to some extent still is, one of our largest trading partners. We were not seeing any reason to see those countries as hostiles, right? Iran, for the most part, was contained. And what has happened since? Incursions in the Nordics by Russia, the Ukraine invasion, Syria, Pakistan-India border tensions, India-China tensions, South China Sea tensions, China-Taiwan ultimatums, and North and South Korea tensions for the first time after many years of no conflict. This is producing quite an interesting line, isn't it? The polycrisis is redefining supply chains. Overnight, we were out of Russia. It took 30 days for every US company to exit Russia following the Ukraine invasion. 30 days. They were cut off by SWIFT and the financial system shortly thereafter. And this, what does it mean for the entrepreneur? And what it means is a new world order is rising. And that new world order, I hope, if I don't run out of time, I will define for you today. But what you can see is, this is not the world of Thomas Friedman when the world was flat. This is not the world of an internet that destroyed all boundaries between us. This is a world of separation. This is a world of new supply chains, of new business lines, and an opportunity for all of us entrepreneurs to do some different things. We cannot change this reality, but we can take advantage of it. We can dream of a world past, but that's a world past. Where we are today is in a new place. When I was in India in December, how am I doing on time? Am I doing okay, Jay? You want to give me 5 more minutes? 6 more minutes? Okay. Okay. Well, it's good to be home. When I was in India, we had just, this was in December at the Thai Global Summit, and I was giving a version of this presentation. We just had some great announcements that were looming between US-India relations. And this is what came out of it. A new economic alliance, of 500 billion by 2030. A new military alliance where F-35 fighters will be shipped to India, and other advanced aircraft will be produced there. Technology alliances, which have been existing, by the way, since Y2K, and of course this new US-India compact on defense and space collaboration. Why? Why? Because as the geopolitical lines have been redrawn, so have the relationships. I remember in 2017, I addressed an audience and I said, these are the blue countries, these are the red countries, and these are those in between. And on the map, I said, India is a blue country. And hands rose and said, no, 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 they're purple. They're somewhere in between being red, meaning with China and Russia, and somewhere in between the United States, they're neutral. And I said, you have not been following the path of India. Very soon, India will be the only country in the region that is able to provide a landing spot for US business and technology. And haven't we seen that, right? And that's what is happening. This is a double down. The poly crisis, it's impacting how trade and economic stability is maintained. And we see this with tariffs. We can blame Trump for the tariffs, but they have nothing to do with Donald Trump. They were actually coming anyway, maybe in a nicer way, and maybe not on Twitter or X or whatever, but some sort of realignment was coming. It was already in play. Microsoft plans to spend $3 billion over the next 2 years to expand its cloud and AI infrastructure in India. And GE is now building their F414 engines there. So what's happened is, and oh, by the way, Apple's there too, but we won't talk about them today. No. What we're really seeing here is a tremendous, when we talked about the world being flat a few moments ago, falling of borders between the countries, okay? And that is creating more business opportunity. What happens next as these innovations come faster and faster and faster in this new world order? This rise of the imagination age means labor, the line that's in gold, has no opportunity to realign or to retrain. What we dream becomes a reality instantly. I dream of an idea, I dream of some computer code, it comes. I want a picture, it comes. I want to print it, it comes. I want a 3D print of my design, of a new cog that's going to fit in my new machine. I press print, it comes. I dream it, it happens. And that's the world that we are moving to. We know AI is enhancing human productivity. We're seeing it and we're seeing it in the form of job losses globally. But it does something else for us. It gives us unbroken stream of thought. I remember when I was applying for colleges, and I watch my children going through that as one applies for advanced, applies to med school. I've got another one applying who wants to go to law school. They want to do different things. They're applying to programs. And it's a very different process. I remember on a typewriter doing it and getting frustrated. And if I don't like what I did, I didn't even have correction tape. I ripped up the paper, threw it, and tossed it. My God, it took hours to get a simple paragraph out. Okay, no more. So unbroken stream of thought means as I'm thinking it, I'm changing it, I'm adapting it. I don't have to go to the library and think, oh, maybe my research is wrong. Spend a whole day, 8 hours redoing it. Oh my God, I got to write my whole paper. Maybe if I just leave it the way it is, the instructor won't know. Those days are over. Predictive analytics and digital assistants, I mean, we're on the precipice of a new age of digital assistants, right? And smart AI agents. As the data travels with us everywhere we go on our mobile devices and maybe in chips in our brain, we have instant access to information. We walk into smart rooms and instantly they light up and they know our data. They biometrically identify who we are. They understand that we are coming here to work or we're coming here to play. Even in traditional areas like contact centers, human resources, procurement, you see the productivity, over 50% gains in productivity in Gen AI alone. The rise of the imagination age, where the cycle of innovation and labor disruption are perfectly aligned, is now. As we get through this age, we feel creativity and freedom to dream. There are 4 pillars of this age: ubiquity of artificial intelligence, universal connectivity, freedom from conflict zones, and achievement of the grand challenges. Many of you know this chapter has brought the Sustainable Development Goals to TIE globally. And I did that this year on the Board of Trustees, where we today, for the first time, are compliant with the UN SDGs, but all 65 chapters are providing data to the UN as one. And I'm proud of that. But that's what's coming as part of this next phase: unlimited energy, access to quantum solutions. And who knows where it's going to take us. This enlightened disruption is a point of continuous disruption and innovation in this new age. In this imagination age, we can imagine a time where we are on a conference call at home, we walk out, stay on that call, go to our vehicle, maybe it's self-driving like this one, continue the call, continue doing work, go to work, the data's traveling with us, right? In this digital air, we experience total alignment with technology, giving us opportunities to innovate in ways we can't imagine. I'm almost out of time, but I do want to share something that was just so exciting to me. JAMA did this research recently, and they took a team of doctors and they gave them the same information and said, okay, can you please predict what is going on with these set of patients based upon the data and information provided? Can you give us a prescription? Can you tell us what's going on with them? The diagnosis that came from the doctors alone was 70% accurate. Then the doctors were given generative AI and said, can you upgrade your capabilities? They were 74% accurate in their diagnosis. When Gen AI, just ChatGPT alone, was used and asked the same questions, they were 90% accurate on diagnosing the patient's ailments correctly. What happened? The human beings are dragging down the AI? The challenge is that AI continues without bias. As we go through a diagnostic process, the human brain eliminates in a linear way what potential, even though it's a low opportunity, what potential diagnoses could be because they're unlikely. But as we learn more about the patient, which is why we oftentimes go get a second opinion, that shifts. AI has no bias whatsoever. And so how we use AI has tremendous power and potential. The imagination age, we know, is distributed in transboundary. It means more time with people, less time with machines. We expect the machines to disappear, even the cell phone. And immersive and sensory ways of communicating, always connected. But what does it mean for TIE? What it means for TIE is, as we move through the computer age, the information age, and digital singularity, the digital age, we have an opportunity for sustained leadership and innovation in this next phase. And I want us to start thinking about it and how we bring it to our organizations in a new way. CEOs of Indus origin are leading all the top global firms. And you have an opportunity, and we on the Board of Trustees believe that we're in a unique time and place to do great things. Innovation and leadership comes with it a tremendous amount of responsibility to work in an ethical and transparent way. What I want to focus on are these 5 things, and then I will end. Global leaders and influencers, that's our role. We must establish a gold standard for ethics, integrity, and transparency, number 1. And I've been working on that tirelessly on the Board of Trustees. Encourage innovation to solve the global challenges. That's our sustainability investment with the United Nations. Encourage and promote ESG compliance and best practices. Engage in honesty and servant leadership. and foster a culture of respect and value diversity of thought. These have become, I crafted these values, and these have become the 5 pillars of our board. And why it's important is we're not just here to make money for our companies. That is a recipe for disaster. When we come together in this organization, we are here to be leaders of our community and to give back. It's not about giving back to TIE, but it's about giving back to your communities. And that's what I want you to think about, because when we're on the global stage and we see these great leaders that I just slid through really quickly, you understand that we're under a microscope and we'll be criticized. And that's not why we want to do the right things, but we want to do the right things because we want to include everyone and we want to create great value for everyone. Thank you so much.
You know, talking about giving back to the community and society, Kevin has done such a marvelous job. He's a big donor for TIE. May I say, he donated $100,000 to TIE Global for TIE women. Thank you, Kevin. And Kevin has also worked very hard over the last 2-3 years, working with the UN, having UN recognize the TIE as an entity who gives back to the society. So we are certified UN member, you can say?
Of the UN Global Compact.
UN Global Compact. Please raise your hand. Please give a big hand to Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Last year, I received an email from a company of an entity called San Diego Startup. So I started looking into, what does the San Diego Startup do? So looked at it and see there's a lot of similarity between San Diego Startup. They foster entrepreneurship. And looked up, who is the person I could talk to. So I contacted through LinkedIn Sheila Goodman. We met, we had lunch, and we were at the meeting, the lunch meeting was terrific. We could see that there's so much we could do together to benefit, to help the entrepreneurial society, the program in the San Diego area. With this, I'd like to bring here Sheila Goodman, who is a charter member, executive committee member. Little bio on Sheila. Please welcome. Sheila's career spans organizations such as the CBS, MP3Com, Qualcomm, and Sony Global. Yeah, here's another one from Sony, Naresh Sony. Sheila is vice chair of Startup San Diego and leads technology programming, curating world-class innovation sessions with global leaders on mega trends that impact entrepreneurs. Her expertise in robotics. So you brought a robot here somewhere. Yeah.
I'm going to do him at the talk.
Technology, culture, and disruption has made her a sought-after keynote speaker on AI global trade shows, from CES to AI Expos. And she is the current CEO of Find Good Tech. She leads AI workshops and strategy sessions with a focus on education, transformation, and building revenues for AI-led startups. With this, I welcome here Sheila. Please give a big hand to Sheila.
Am
My mom always said I had a big mouth, so I guess I do need the microphone. All right. Thank you so much. And huge shout out to the team producing this. You know, when Jay reached out to me and we had a great lunch, we really found out how we have the same mission and we're so much stronger together. And so this conference is a testament to that. And I believe the opening remarks, San Diego can be the global leader of AI, and this conference is an excellent proof point to that end. So a little bit about Startup San Diego, 12 years running. It's entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. We're membership-based. We're nonprofit. Great impact report. What we try and do is really curate what the entrepreneur needs. And here's the mission and the vision, is that we really want to serve the entrepreneur that it may not be able to jump straight into venture or may not be able to really fully participate and understand the ecosystem of what's happening. So we're the gateway. We help feed into Connect, venture capital, of course, now that we're connected with TIE. So we're so much stronger as a result of this community. And you can see we have great leaders like Dr. Erwin Jacobs, who has come out and spoke. We do hackathons. And this is really, I think, the rise of how we're really going to democratize AI for all, is when we bring people together in rooms, in communities, to show how easy a lot of these tools are. And so today you're going to hear a lot of different talks from a lot of different perspectives about what AI is. And I think we're all going to have some similar theme: pro AI, what it means for education, what it means for our kids, what it means for jobs, you know, the risks, the myths, the fears. But my take is a bit more about hope. And about sometimes really the best of us as a human is going to drive the best outcomes technologically speaking. Okay, so with that, and I'm a fast talker, so I think I might even end right on time. We've got 16 minutes. We can do this. All right. So this is my favorite slide because when I tell young people, I teach a lot of courses, that I'm older than Google, they really don't believe me. And I think it's an important fact, because if you have context of what this world looked like before Google was around, you don't really you have context for search. And so with AI, we're really challenged to understand how is search changing, you know, because before it was everything was through Google. And so this has disrupted a lot of businesses, but it also disrupts the way that we acquire and get information. And so I think that's an important factor. The other thing I kind of did my slides out of order there. Sorry. I'm going to show at the end here, Ibo. He is an artificial intelligence bot. He's what I worked on with Sony from 2017, launched this bot. And at that time, AI certainly was not at the craze state it was now. We probably didn't even really recognize what it was doing algorithmically with Spotify and Netflix and so forth. But this artificial intelligence bot really autonomously, it was a precursor of what's to come. And so I'll be sharing that with you towards the end of the talk. But startups, wow, 35,000 startups since 2022. I wish they all had memberships to TIE, right? Jay, no? All right. So yes, how do we serve all these startups, right? How do we rise to meet all of these startups? And these are the ones that, you know, are only publicly available. The bottom line is they're all trying to do the same thing, right? Efficiency, save time, and save money. There's lots of ways to save time and save money, but I don't know if it's efficient. So forgive my crude joke, but this is saving time and saving money. So when I think about entrepreneurship and I think about AI, I do try and laugh about it. I look at the irony of what it means to automate everything. So hopefully you share my same sense of humor. Don't think I'm too obnoxious with this joke. But what I noticed in the trend of all of these startups that were coming out, and being a board member, vice chair of Startup San Diego, developing all the programming from that day, is I noticed a lot of our CEOs and founders would always refer to AI as magic. And it irked me, because magic is a bending of natural laws, and magic doesn't really speak to the math behind the platform. And I thought that was a real disservice. We often hear things that, well, you don't need to know how a car works, but, we're the fuel in these systems. So we do need to understand how they work. And to that end, I wrote a book called How to Win Friends and Influence Robots, to really unpack the theories behind how large language models work, because I think once you get those basic concepts, and no disregard to anyone that is working deeply in this, I'm not trying to simplify or trivialize it, but what I am saying is that the theories are very followable, and then if you understand that theory, then you'll understand the issues with bias, and you'll understand the larger context of information. So that's been my mantra with the book, is to really get away from the magic and to get deeper into what it really means and how can it really work. And I believe if you understand it, it'll give you a framework of how to evaluate all platforms. That was supposed to be a video. It's not a video. Now it's just a picture of a strange guy. So anyway, our brains are slow. Speaking specifically about mine this morning as I was getting up this early Saturday. But AI shows no signs of slowing. And so for this one fact, I am an AI optimist because, in January or November 2022, when ChatGPT came out, it did seem like magic, right? And I said, no, I have to understand how this works. But because our brains are challenged by this, I think AI is a little bit more threatening than any other technology that we've ever experienced. It feels kind of personal. Would anyone agree? Does it feel personal? You feel like, oh no, it's going to take my job. So in the spirit of the conference theme, tectonic shifts, to me, a tectonic shift is recognizing and accepting the state of being a carbon-based life form with a brain that has limited capacity. And I don't think that, I would say that in general, I have a really hard time remembering people's names. So if I had an AI that just simply did that, that would solve a lot of problems for me. But the bottom line is the premise is that to really accept these limitations. And when we think about how over time that our processing speed declines, it's an even greater use case to be able to embrace how we can augment ourselves. So it's moving faster than we expected, AI. And actually, Daniel, would you mind grabbing me a water real quick? I'm kind of having a dry throat here. So I think there's one in the back over there. So it's going faster. And the model capabilities, of course, they're expanding. It's getting smarter, right? We see this, the deep research pivot over the last, 6 weeks, how this has really, really spiked. So, nothing new there, but I think the uncommon insights from this speed is the fact that it's not just scale or price or the reducing cost, but it's about who can participate. Whereas before, if you wanted to innovate in AI at the time that we were working on IBO, this would have been a very difficult thing for the average person. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Even open full service. Thank you. I just set that up there really quick. I need a couple of robots for the drink of water. Thank you. Okay, thanks for that. So China is also accelerating this with DeepSeek and Manus. Obviously, this is talking about the lower cost of compute. Having participated in the Paris Summit, this is now an action summit as opposed to before. It was really about policy and reflection. So we're living in a macro context that I believe most are fearful of. And this is that part where I say, how do we unpack this fear so that we can leverage it and use it? And so back to kind of accepting what we want with this. And so the big takeaways are big tech does need a win. We've had a rough time with the metaverse. We've had a rough time with crypto. Absolutely, we need a big win. We're in interesting times, not to politicize this statement, but it's an interesting times, and regulation is pulling back. And it is most certainly uneven distribution in terms of access, but we're getting closer to that. And if you're a parent or grandparent, and you think about your child's trajectory and their chosen field, and if they're graduating now, what is their role going to look like? What does the future hold for them? And so this is what keeps me up at night. So in that trend, I think about the contours of jobs. Now, this is a stat that's been around for some time, I think 2023 from McKinsey. We know that automation is happening. Some reports say it's going to happen in 5 years. 80 million jobs are going to go away. This is a US number. We know 95 million are going to be created, so McKinsey says, but we're in this transition phase. So in that transition phase, you tend to see a lot of the headlines, Bloomberg and many other great companies that are cashing in on that promise of efficiency. And so as a result of that, it's really creating fear. So you add that to the declining birth rates, you have to ask yourself, well, we really will need a robotic assist, right? We really, and when you think about the use case of IBO as a robotic, its use case initially was for elder care in Japan, exclusively based on the decline of caregivers. So it's a real reality that we as Americans are facing, even though we're fearful of it, and we're not sure what our role is going to be when we're there, when we finally get a place. So I look at the market, not to point at any one company in particular, but in general, revenues are up, earnings are up, but workforce cuts still happen. They're still happening. And I don't want to blame CEOs for giving us good shareholder value, but I would like them to think about what does that mean if you have workers that are unsure of where they're going to be placed. So today's AI is moving so quickly. You may have seen the headlines from ChatGPT about the PhD level chatbot, $20,000 a month. Right, so this is, I think, last week before. If we look at just a couple of months ago, the ChatGPT was operating at an intern level, about $100 an hour. Now with deep reasoning, we're about $200 an hour. I have interns back here, and they're like, "Wait, you pay $100 an hour? What?" I promise you guys, I'll give you some muffins. And then now we're really looking at seasoned, wise, pattern recognition, experienced individuals at billable rates of 500 and more. And these are our highest value workers. They're the most expensive. And so when you look at the cost of thinking, as the cost of thinking, cognition becomes cheaper, there's implications there too. These highest value workers are really having the most opportunity, which is kind of interesting as I was looking at the research and studying it. But it is the wisdom is driving the prompts, it's driving the outcomes because you know what to ask because you've lived it before. So further disadvantaging interns and young people graduating from colleges. So I think you'll see this slide in many iterations throughout. This isn't the prettiest slide, but bottom line is we know more jobs will happen. That is a fact. I love this slide because it really looks at something like bookkeeping. I mean, there's a huge growth when we had from VisiCalc to Excel. So we know that this growth is happening, but it's that transition time. And my idea for you today is that we're not so much in a job crisis as we are in a fear crisis. And I believe that this worry, and this is from Pew Research based on US studies, 52% are worried, 33% are overwhelmed. That's a tremendous amount. Like, that's a really large amount. And when I speak at universities, I do micro courses for most of the universities here and abroad. Most kids are worried. They don't know what's next for them. And I would say there's not a lot of great answers out there for them. So my mission and my hope is to really unpack how do you orient yourself to be successful as a new entrant to the market, to the job market. And I think it's things like TIE. I think it's organizations like Startup San Diego. I think it's certainly community. But the leaders have a responsibility here too. Right? So if profits are up, could you reconsider what role that leader, that young intern could play? And I think about my early days at mp3.com. I was mentored by the CEO, Michael Robertson, serial entrepreneur, multiple exits to Google. I could have never learned what I learned by watching YouTube videos. That cognitive dissonance. You have to be in person. You have to show and know. It's the meeting before the meeting, right? So very common stuff. So that's the call to leaders. What are we doing to support them, interns? And so shifting just a bit, taking a look now, how are we really using AI today? Of course, we all know about the automation, but it's that augmentation that's very interesting. And speaking just very briefly as I close this out, has supported Ask Turing AI. This is a vertical SaaS company. And what we're doing there is targeting the $14 trillion mortgage industry. This is the opportunity I see for students, not mortgage necessarily. But I see these verticals that need automation. They need articulated understanding of how these opportunities are going to work. So in interest of time, I'm just going to keep going. So what is what's my takeaway? It's optimistic. Are we in a hype cycle? No, we're not in a hype cycle. I don't think anyone believes we're in a hype cycle. And if you do, raise your hand. Let's talk about it later. No, nobody does. Great. PCs was underestimated by 36%, the internet 58%, mobile 22%. So these mega trends are really hard to see from where we sit today, but we do know that we are indeed in a mega trend. I'm optimistic. It's getting easier. Coding, vibe coding, a fun new word of the week, right? Vibe coding, it's getting easier. And I think this is the hope in the future. And with my company, FideGood.tech, what I really do is I try and break it down. And with the book that I wrote, How to Win Friends and Influence Robots, Build is the missing manual. I am relaunching this book. You know, when you write a print book in the AI age, it's out of date the second the ink dries. So I am updating April 20th. The updated version will come out, very focused on vertical SaaS. Very focused on how students can activate what they can do to ready themselves for this next transition. And then finally, final comment here is Mind the Machine is a podcast that I interview startups who are doing great things. They're unpacking their playbook. They're telling exactly how they're looking at the world, from workforce to what their insights to leadership. And most of these folks really have a heart for a community, which is why when I kicked off Mind the Machine as a podcast, Erwin Jacobs was my first guest, because a champion of education and a champion of community, and he's on a mission. He's not a mercenary, and he's built San Diego, and arguably I could say he's a big supporter of TIE, big supporter of Startup San Diego. Thank you for your attention and your time. I hope you found value in it. Robot demo later. Ran out of time.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to what promises today to be an extraordinary day of innovation, insight, cutting-edge advancements in AI, diagnostics, and technology. Today, we have the privilege of hearing from visionary leaders and pioneers who are shaping the future of their respective industries, from revolutionary diagnostics and AI-driven genomics to breakthroughs in computer vision and next-gen AI applications. The pace of technology evolution is accelerating faster than my Wi-Fi, than ever before, and our speakers today are at the forefront of transforming industries, improving lives, and redefining what's possible, whether it's leveraging AI to predict disease outbreaks, enhance medical diagnostics, or power the next generation of smart devices. Our lineup today represents the best and brightest minds driving the future of AI and innovation. We will begin with an insightful keynote on innovation in diagnostics, followed by groundbreaking discussions on computer vision, genomics, and AI's next frontier. Each session today is designed to explore the impact of AI, machine learning, bioinformatics, and how these technologies are revolutionizing healthcare, biotech, and the digital world. So without any further ado, let's kick off today's event. It is my pleasure to introduce Rangarajan Sampath, an accomplished senior leader in biotech, infectious disease diagnostics, bioinformatics, genetics, and medical device innovation. As Senior Vice President of Siemens Healthineers, Ranga is a leading groundbreaking research collaborations, including partnerships with Harvard University to predict disease outbreaks using advanced analytics. Previously, he had senior R&D roles at Abbott and Fine, overseeing the development of commercialization of diagnostic technologies and transforming healthcare. His passion for public health and patient impact is evident in his work as a board member of Sepsis Alliance, where he actively advocates for greater awareness and actionable strategies against sepsis and antimicrobial resistance. Please join me in welcoming Rangarajan Sampath.
Great introduction to the day today. From Kevin's overview of what AI can get us to in the future, to Cheryl talking about all the innovations and all the startups that are going on. This is exciting times. I'm here to sort of give you a little bit from a biomedical device or medical device perspective. I work in the diagnostic industry, work at Siemens Healthineers, which apparently cannot make slides. No, so it's a I think transformation from a PDF back to a PowerPoint that may have messed it up. But I work in the diagnostic side, but we are a large global company, 70,000 people company, so not a startup. But we work in everything from medical imaging to diagnostics to providing therapeutic as well as our cancer treatment. And really, what drives and why I'm here, sort of in a conference on AI, is really the bottom line that you see there, which is while we do all these things, we're in an age where AI is going to definitely be part of what we do in the future. And how is it going to help us? It's going to help us by making our jobs better. We are going to become smarter so that we can focus on what we really need to do. And that's really our CEO, his vision is to ensure that the kinds of technology we're developing are embedded with smartness, with the intelligence that you just heard about in the opening two remarks as to where we're going with the revolution, and really turn that so that we can, in turn, whether we're a medical doctor like Dr. Prabhakar, can focus on the patient, or as people who are developing these solutions, we can focus on really improving that quality of care. I'll also take on Cheryl's question, are we in a hype cycle? Depends on where you are. I will not concede that there's not a hype around this, but it's a hype that always leads to a stability and ultimately a productization, right? So a hype cycle typically is defined as understanding where in a particular cycle of evolution you are in a marketplace, right? And this is a Gartner study that they publish every year on AI. Basically, there are a number of apologies that you can't read it very clearly, but there are a number of technologies and improvements that are happening constantly that are putting us on this map. But eventually we're going to get to a point where some of these will become embedded in the product. And these products are then what are going to drive how we lead the technology, right? As Siemens, we are global leaders in imaging-based technology. And imaging is an area where we adopted AI-based solutions almost half a decade ago or even more. Reason is the complexity that comes with the image-based analysis is something that even the best trained radiologist cannot comprehend and produce at the same rate as what a machine can do. And this was recognized fairly early on. I'll also talk later about how the data and the quality and the standardization of data is critical. And imaging really adopted standardization of data, and that really led to revolution. And today, if you look at FDA-cleared products in medical devices, over 80% are in the imaging space. In fact, if you take cardiovascular and other things that are based on imaging, you almost come to 90%, which is good and bad. The good is there is still a lot of potential, right? Meaning that is only touching one small portion of the medical device industry. There's a lot of opportunities that we can really get to making these improvements. So I think there's a lot of optimism and opportunities. Now, the bad is with all this technology as they're emerging, there are lots of challenges, including regulatory. How do you assure that there are no biases in data? What is the quality of data? How do you ensure that it's not geared towards a subset of the population so your conclusions are not misleading, ultimately, if you're going to start relying on these AI-based solutions? So at Siemens, we have done this, like I said, for over a decade and a half, in various stages of advancements as AI has gone through, including right now with all the advances that are happening. And we have, data sort of drives many things we do. We have vast libraries, over 2 million clinical images on the radiology side. All of these are driving innovation in the medical industry. And we are, in fact, of the 70 to 80% in radiology, we have the leading market share in terms of using AI in these technologies and have a lot of applications. So the way we approach our development is really from multiple sort of take the different slices that are that we can actually follow along. Starting with things that we control. We develop our own instrumentation and hardware, right? That's the first place we want to bring automation or bring AI into it. That's the easier area for us to incorporate. So beginning with the scanners and systems and instruments that we develop, incorporating AI into them so that your work becomes easier, to then go into diagnosis and recommendation. How do you incorporate this into the user? How do you translate the advancements so that the user can now start using these technologies into how they are going to interface with them? How can the patient benefit from it ultimately, right? How easy does it become? Like when you want to go get a test done, when results come back, you have no idea how to interpret. Now you have to wait for another 2 weeks before your doctor calls you and tells you how to interpret your own data. Can we make that easier? Can we make all these things through some solutions that make it easier? And ultimately, population health, right? In terms of if you can do one patient, can you now start looking at trends, whether it's obesity and heart diseases and all these things? They are more population trend. Can you bring all this to the level of population trends? And from the time you enter the hospital, or sometimes even before, data are being collected on you, right? Typically, nowadays we are all wearing watches, we are wearing Oura rings and other things that are collecting data. You enter the hospital, and God forbid you're in an emergency room for some critical illness, hundreds of tests are done on you, but who is looking at all these tests with the same perspective? Each one is done by a different lab, often by a different kind of machine. Interpretation is harder. So the question is, can we go from all of these things, solutions, where a lot of data are coming into you, but how do you take all that, integrate that, make some meaning out of it so that very quickly you can tell the treating physician who is overwhelmed by all the data coming through. I mean, there are doctors in the audience who can vouch for this. Taken from that to the patients, to the patient families and so on, how do you provide that result in a meaningful, timely manner, right? That's really where it becomes really critical. So if you think of patient at the center of all this data, and if we can make that personalization happen, I think we would succeed in making advances that are sustainable in the medical industry. So from my file was large, and I sent a PDF hoping that I was going to project myself, but I should have maybe done that. But looks like I'm going to lose a few images along the way. But the text still sort of gets through, right? The point here being that as we are developing some of these solutions, we are looking at it, like I said, from the core. How do we ensure that we are developing products that are reliable, that are reproducible, that things that we can actually, that when you get these instruments, that you can actually trust them? And that's, when it earlier talked about hype cycle, for us, it's not that the AI is necessarily the hype cycle, it's the application of AI in these medical devices, right? It's not easy. So many of these things have to be tested over a period of time, tested in different environments. We deal with everything from geography to temperatures to everything else where the instruments have to perform. So how do you ensure that you're getting quality results? How do you enhance your operational efficiency? And I'll sort of, some of our instruments sit in Costco-sized warehouses, right? We run hundreds of thousands of samples in a given day, analyzing all these samples. All the automation, the robotics that go into it, how do you ensure there's better efficiencies as we go through? And the last part being the clinical insight that I just talked about, which is how do you provide the most value for all the information that is being gathered to provide back to the clinician and the patient in a meaningful manner. We heard twice today, at least in the opening, both the opening remark by Kevin and by Cheryl, that labor is a challenge, right? We're losing jobs. I don't know if it's chicken and egg. In the medical industry, this has been happening for a long time, even before AI came. In fact, there are projections that said that we are going to lose 30% of our nursing staff by 2030. cliff is coming, right? Which means you go to a hospital, you're already facing shortage, and now you're not going to have trained nursing staff. You don't have many doctors are stressed, and many are leaving the field. Same happens in sort of the people who are providing the services behind the scene, all the technology people, the lab techs and all those people. There's a increasing worker shortage, right? But this is happening at a time when, thankfully, we're all living longer. Doesn't necessarily mean we're living healthy, which means we are putting an impact on the clinical, on the entire framework, meaning there's more demand for diagnostics and other services as you go to the hospital, but there are fewer people doing them. So with this, there's a perfect sort of confluence of where you can't keep up with it unless you bring AI into these solutions, right? How does AI then help you overcome these challenges? And some example. I mean, this is the bar chart sort of shows the number of people leaving the workforce, and this is 2021 based. And if I update it to 2025, it'll be even more dramatic and drastic, right? The number of people who are entering the workforce. One way to think about it is how do you make the work that they're doing more exciting, right? Reason many of these people don't get into the healthcare, health tech industry is they see their friends who went into the more tech-driven approaches, sitting at their home, working from home, and providing really perhaps higher quality of results and everything else that they can do sitting from where they are, whereas the lab techs didn't have the same options. Can we provide the same kind of tools? Can we entice the younger generation to be in the medical field by giving them the tools that they actually can do what they were trained to do better rather than do the routine, mundane tasks, right? So that's one. The other that happens very often, and I'll sort of advance to this, is hospital systems, when they're overwhelmed, as it is, they're error prone. When they're overwhelmed, you end up with significant increase in errors. This happens for a number of reasons. One is, someone said earlier about robots don't need to sleep. At least my way of thinking about this, robots don't need to sleep, whereas human brain does slow down. Human brain does need to sleep, right? So if you think of a lab that is operating 24/7, the day shift gets really high quality results, but by the time you get to the second shift, you're probably getting the marginal, and a night shift typically you end up with significantly increased error. Why? Because even though those people may be working the same 8 hours as the morning shift people, our brain cycle works differently. Think of a robot running the same thing. There is no brain cycle there. So can we really take advantage of these things and reduce the error, and also bring advanced processing and information processing and so on, so that we can reduce these errors? From one slide on just risk prediction, right? So I've been working in the area of sepsis for a long time as a diagnostics provider, and like I said, if you enter a hospital feeling slightly feverish and slightly maybe confused and with elevated heart rate and so on, the typical signs that you would say, okay, could it be a viral infection? I don't know at this point if I should admit you because you may not have sepsis. 2, within 24 hours, oh my God, we need to amputate your fingers because you're in severe sepsis and so on. I'm not making it up, this is reality, right? Even today, with all the advancements in medicine, sepsis has an overall mortality of 25 to 30%, which means 1 in 3 persons entering the hospital or entering to a critical care with a diagnosis of sepsis does not come out of the hospital alive. And equally bad are people who get discharged from hospital with post-sepsis, where the mortality is still about 30%, meaning within the next 90 days or next 6 months, 90 to 180 days. Why is that the case? Because often we are looking at single point solutions. We look at a particular marker and say, okay, this person has now improved, let's release them because the cost is high and they can maintain this at home. But turns out some organ is shutting down. We didn't even realize. We don't have all the ways to measure them. So one of the things we started looking at was, with all the data that are being collected as a patient or as a person walks into a ER, from the time they walk into the ER to the hospital system, can we track all these parameters and come up with a simple risk score? What is the likelihood, based on all the information that we know and all the information that we are gathering, that this particular person is more likely to need stronger intervention, longer hospital stay, and maybe significant doses of other medicines, compared to, let's say, somebody else who may be either a viral infection, which means it'll resolve itself, or even a mild bacterial infection, which can be treated with an antibiotic and so on. So there's a lot of advancement. This is just one application. We work in the same thing, whether it's cardiovascular, stroke, and all these things. We can sort of look at this from a risk prediction perspective and patient management that can be really key. And the last couple of minutes, what I'll just sort of touch on is the aspect of automation, because while AI is improving all the things I talked about in terms of providing risk prediction and risk-based modeling, if you start to think about where the computer vision and all the robotic information, robotic processing is sort of increasing, can we get to the place where we can really make what I would ultimately call a dark lab, right? A dark lab essentially being, I can turn the lights off. Human beings need lights. Robots don't need lights, right? They know exactly where they're going, what they can do. So effectively saying, can I run a lab 24/7 with minimal human intervention? Today's automation lab, some of the things that we do on the top left, we see sort of a lab here, which where a robot can walk around, and if you had the video that was running it, you would sort of see that. What we want to do in the future is build more of intelligence into these robots. Right now, the robots are doing more mechanical, and we are already there. We can process hundreds of samples. These robots can move around, pick up samples, pick up tubes, and put them and so on. But can we make them decision maker? Can we actually bring intelligence into these robots so that they ultimately get to the point where they can be operating the lab, right? I mean, and provide all the information. So in many of these cases, these are not just hype vision. These are actually where the industry is sort of looking and saying, okay, where can we provide that kind of a value back to the customers, which are laboratory, hospitals, and ultimately the patients like ourselves who will end up needing to receive these kind of services. So I said at the beginning, and I think this is true, and you're going to hear this perhaps many times today, you can't talk about AI without talking about quality of data, about the rigor with which the data are collected, the governance of data, how do you ensure that these data are actually providing the meaningful information and insights based on a wide range, especially when it comes to human patient. We don't want to be at a place where I look a certain way and I'm made of a different composition, and with all the results that the AI is providing is based on somebody completely opposite to me. It's not meaningful. So how do you ensure there is that kind of a data governance and stewardship? Of course, data privacy becomes important as well. And the principle with which like I said, we've been doing this for a number of years, so I'll just sort of say that this is a collective vision that we have within the company, which talks about we have to make these advances in line with all the principles of developing these AI solutions, so they don't just happen overnight. And at least in the medical industry, our lead time to get some of these AI products into the hands of our customers is pretty long, and for a good reason, right? So there's a lot of ethics and other aspects that we need to do. And ultimately, we cannot do this without, it's not just an app that we just produce overnight and suddenly it becomes the medical device app. There's a lot of work that goes into it. I do apologize for the slides, but I just want to leave sort of everyone with this last thoughts, which is while we are in an exciting time, and actually I'm very excited to be in the medical diagnostic industry at this point, a lot of opportunity, a lot of growth. We're actually seeing solutions to problems that we didn't have before because of the power of computing, power of AI, and all that we can bring together. But the question that we really have to ask is, can we turn this from a theory into actual practice? And there's a lot of improvements happening, but that's what I would really like to leave you all with. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them, but otherwise, thank you for your attention on a Saturday morning.
So, Ranga, as you think about a large enterprise like Siemens that has obviously technology assets and healthcare assets, how does Siemens sort of really see sort of disrupting this market, since there's they're large and they obviously will move at a different pace than startups do, and how can they actually provide like startups better better access to their insights, because I mean they've been around hundreds of years, almost 100+ years. So would love to hear from you.
Thanks, Jay. Really good question. So first of all, being a large company, for us, the main thing that we recognize is not everything that we do has to start from within, right? So we work very closely with a number of solution providers, especially when it comes to AI. Like for us, it'll take a long time to develop the same solution that somebody else can produce in a very shorter period of time. Because the solution because they're more nimble, they can adapt and so on. They can do all the testing. So we support the smaller companies by letting them go through the cycle that they have to go through to mature the product, right? Collect data, different things. So we engage. So we have a lot of our own development. I have teams that are developing some of these things, but with the mindset that we're doing this so we understand the problem, but ultimately the solution may actually come from outside. So we are open to that. The way we can sort of support startups and small companies essentially is exactly that. I mean, we do this both on the technology and device side, as you know, Jay, to AI. Our approach is the same. What is the vision that we have for solving this problem? So we're not in a, this is the shiny star for the day. Let's go buy them or invest in that. It's really more, what is the plan? What do we want to do over the future? How can we help build this into a platform that really grows? And that's how Siemens has survived for this long, right? It's sort of being able to support that kind of ecosystem. So thank you for that question.
Thank you, Ranga. Ranga has been extremely gracious. Anytime, I just texted him that, Ranga, can you do this? And he was so gracious. And he said, yes. And then he was traveling, so we synced up. And then I think, he was saying, what do I said, you can present anything. He's such a wealth of knowledge that, I'm amazed at you. So next up, we will dive into the powerful convergence of genomics and AI, a rapidly evolving space that is shaping the future of personalized medicine and healthcare analytics. It is my pleasure to introduce Ankur Dhingra from Illumina. So again, same thing. I texted Ankur. And then I met up with him for coffee. And I told him that we are having this AI conference. He was so gracious. And by the way, welcome Ankur to San Diego. He's moved here to San Diego from Silicon Valley. And it is, he's going to talk about how AI is revolutionizing genomics, data-driven research, and medical discoveries like AI-powered genomic sequencing, predictive analytics. And then I think Illumina is at the forefront of developing precision medicine, drug discovery, and disease prevention. Ankur will be, presenting that. And Ankur is also CFO at Illumina. And if you see the wealth of knowledge he has, it's amazing. I'm really amazed by what he does. Thank you, Ankur.
Yeah, all of that in 20 minutes. So. Nice to meet you all. We'll hopefully have a good discussion here in the 20 minutes. My additional motive here, as Naresh said, he was gracious. He spent some time with me. My additional motivator was to meet a lot of really talented people. Also meet a lot of Indians, but broadly a very talented group of talented people. My wife is here, and she's here as well, but to be able to meet as many, be part of the community. So any one of you who wants to meet or connect subsequently, I'm looking forward to that. When I was thinking about what to present, and given that it was only 20 minutes, I figured there's a lot that's happening in AI, in genomics. The question around, is that a hype cycle from where I sit? Hell no, right? Hell no. We've been living in that for last over a decade, for sure. Illumina started applying machine learning into genomics started about 14 years ago. That's when the machine learning AI team first came together within Illumina. What I will actually do is, you'll see a few examples. I'll rather use really deep 2 or 3 examples to try to contextualize what is it that we're trying to solve, right? I don't know how many biologists or biochemistry folks are here in this room. There are probably a lot of physicists, probably people from semiconductor industry. Let me just start with this saying, laws of biology work differently than laws of physics. Okay, very differently. And one of the fundamental differences is that biology fights back. Physics doesn't. Once you lay out a physics or rule of physics, it generally, so far, unless all the evolution and all the astrophysics that's going on right now about our understanding of the particulate matter or the dark matter, in biology, we're still scratching the surface of how much we really understand about the human biology. So use of AI, use of ML within this space is still in early stages, even though we've spent a decade on it. I'll give you a couple examples to those of who you actually work deep in AI. You all think about the context windows, right? As to how much data can you actually process at a point in time. Anybody here knows in a human genome, how many base pairs are there? You know, anyone who remembers their high school biology or has studied subsequently the A, C, T, G sequences in human genome, anyone wants to venture a guess, how many base pairs in a human genome? 3 billion. Okay? From a context window perspective, it's still a big enough number. Okay? From an OpenAI or some of the most recent machine learning models, the context windows are still in, I believe, single-digit millions, but these things change so fast nowadays that it might still be old. But that's the equation. If you think about the human genome, what we call is what's the most important part is, one, we understanding what does a base pair in a genome does, and which we call is as a coding, a protein coding. The way human genome works is it makes, if it has to do something, it designs an RNA. The RNA makes a protein. The protein goes and does whatever it is supposed to do, trigger an action, whether in your gut, whether in your blood, whether it's just to form a T cell to go fight a disease. That's how biology works. DNA to RNA to protein. And that's called coding. We only understand 0.1% so far of the actual coding that happens. We do not yet understand 99.9% of the actual coding variance. That's the problem we're trying to deal with. So yes, advent of AI tools and the related hardware is hugely positive, hugely positive. We've been living in this. This is not a myth. So I'll give you a couple examples in that. Now, these will get a little more scientific. I'm a CFO, so don't ask the scientific question, but I'm kind of trying to explain to you at a really deep level, how are we applying AI, right, to actually solve and improve the understanding of biology? How does it use? What are the applications? In the end, they're always about three things. You're trying to find fundamentally understanding biology, but to do what? You're trying to diagnose if there is something wrong. If something wrong's, what's the root cause of it, right? That's what you're trying to diagnose. You're also providing, which you know the root cause, somebody in pharmaceutical company can go develop a drug for it, and then they can test whether it worked or not. And then in the clinic, you're able to use a certain clinical application to be able to treat that disease. Those of you who follow science may have seen that, especially in case of cancer, if you follow the long-range survival rates in a lot of cancers, because of our understanding, that 0.1% understanding of the genome, the actual survival rates in our cancers have been improving in the last 10 years. Because we've been able to develop drugs that are targeting specific genes, and the OS, or the overall survival rates, have actually started to improve. So we're making a difference, right? So I'll give you a few examples. Who's keeping time? Are you keeping time, right? All right, awesome. Okay, a dense slide. This is a protein neural network. What you're seeing on those lines are actually designs of proteins. This is what a protein looks like, okay? On any protein, there can be tons of variants. And what we're trying to do is understand, if you have a variant, is it a pathogenic variant or is it a benign variant? Okay? Does it really cause a disease or does it not cause a disease, right? So what did we do? Well, if you don't understand a whole lot of things, how do you really solve it? We went out and actually ran full genome studies and protein studies of 234 different primate species, with the basis that if humans evolved from primates, a very large part of our genome is going to be similar. We tracked diseases in those primates and then created a machine learning AI algorithm to say, in the human, if there is a particular variant, is it pathogenic or is it benign? That alone allows us to understand whether we should worry about that protein, whether we should target that protein when we find it or not, right? Just an example at a deep level, trying to understand how biology works, okay? That model already is well ahead of anything else that's in the market, including whatever Google's trying to do with the DeepMind, et cetera. Our correlation on several diseases based on those protein variants are well ahead of anything else. But in the end, driving our understanding of disease. I'll give you another one. This is another example. We call it Splice AI, still in early stages of development, literally in the last 3 to 4 years. We've just launched this. What is splicing at a genomic level? You have a base which is non-coding. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't create a protein. It's just there. And then there is a coding variant. But sometimes in the human biology, a non-coding part of the protein blocks the coding part to do whatever it is supposed to do. Okay? We just didn't understand that. How does that work? So we've been able to build a full AI model to actually go through the entire genome and find those non-coding variants in specific diseases that actually block production of specific proteins that the body should have produced but didn't produce and hence leads to a disease. Example, we worked with the UCSF. Stephen Sanders, anybody who knows, is a well-known KOL from UCSF. We built a deep learning model specifically for autism patients, 28 of them who couldn't be diagnosed. We couldn't figure out what led to that. And through deep research and built on machine learning models, we could actually find through Splice AI very specific non-coding variants that led to non-production of a protein that could be associated with the disease. That's huge. That's huge. Both our understanding of how biology works and our understanding of what may have caused a particular disease. So that's the level, as an example, of where AI is being used in Illumina. Again, it's a very, very vast field. I cannot do justice to it in 20 minutes, and the amount of effort and the money that we're putting in that every year. I spend hundreds of millions of dollars in R&D every year in Illumina about developing these targets. We spend roughly about $1 billion in R&D every year, and there's a big chunk of that goes towards developing these machine learning tools. What's the next frontier? This is very, very close to my heart personally, and that's why I'm using this example. Even for folks who are from biology, this is new. Okay, not like brand new, but new within the last 5 to 6 years. This is a new technology that Illumina is in the process of launching right now. What it is allowing us to do, and I'm in the process of, those of you from Bay Area, we're setting up a world's most advanced perturb-seq laboratory in our Foster City office. If you ever have interest over the next 2-3 months, tell me, we might give you a tour. And in fact, I was there 2 weeks ago, and that team is actually building a human brain organoid to be able to run these examples. So what does perturb-seq do? What we're trying to do is, and these experiments actually have not been done so far in biology. This is the first time programs of this scale are beginning to happen. We've just announced a partnership with Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard to run what we call is a 5 billion single cell program to be able to map out exactly how biology works. What perturb-seq is what we're trying to do is take an example of neurology or neural cell lines. We might be able to take all of the neural cells in a human, which is why an organoid of a brain, and actually in a laboratory go cell by cell, in each cell change one gene base pair at a time, either upregulated or downregulated, and then go in and measure exactly what happened in the entire neurocell line. You're talking probably about 250 million cells. It'll take us probably about 2 to 3 months to map it out. But effectively, what we would have done by the end of it is built a full cell atlas of if you change any part of the gene in brain, exactly what does that do from a protein structure perspective. The largest, this is called Perturb-seq single cell, the largest study that has been done so far in the world has gone probably about max 1.5 to 2 million cells at a time. We're triggering a 250 million cell study. Well, I need machine learning. I will need AI to be able to compute everything that's changing. Our intent is to build that cell atlas and actually make it available broadly, both from a diagnosis perspective as well as from pharmaceutical perspective, so that companies can then start targeting the specific biomarkers that come out of it and be able to develop drugs, whether it is for autism or any neurodegenerative disorder. Over the 3 years, we'll run a 5 billion cell study. My team's really working through trying to get a context window to be able to actually handle that much data and be able to solve it. To say, over a 20,000 protein structure and all of the gene structures, can we actually map out the effect of each and every gene? We've used this recently to also map out the full genomic pathway of how the cardiovascular genes operate, and being able to find very specific genes who, when down-regulated or up-regulated, reduce LDL, versus the other ones that increase LDL in the human body. And we've been able to demonstrate that, again, with the base scientific experiment data and now building AI tools on it to show the advent and possible diagnosis as well as resolution for the disease. How does it help, right? Data structures and understanding of biology at this scale becomes what many of you call foundational models. Right? At this scale, if we can build foundational models of how biology actually operates, that can dramatically speed up both our ability to diagnose a disease as well as our ability to develop drugs to resolve those diseases. Right? That is what we're after. And that's it. Anyone interested? I don't know if these slides will be made available or not, but anyone who wants to go really deep into any of these topics, these are papers in Science, Nature, Cell, all published within the last 1 and 2 years. If you're interested, go take a look, and if you want to really dig deep. So that's the part of my study. Yeah, sure. So the discussion with NVIDIA is close to what I talked about around the Perturb-seq. We're developing, as we said, foundational models for our understanding of biology across all of the human cell lines. And our partnership with NVIDIA is about enabling these models on NVIDIA's hardware. We have historically worked with Amazon on FGPA or FPGA, whatever those are. FPGA chips, they're custom designed within our sequencers, custom designed chips that actually run all the AI and ML algorithms. And obviously, NVIDIA wants to enable that into their large Blackwell architecture as well. So our intention is, as we build these foundational models, can these run on large scale AI cloud-based infrastructure that NVIDIA is running? And they certainly have the team who can then build algorithms on top of the foundational models. That's what we're working on. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing.
Thank you.
So we are running about 10 minutes behind schedule. So want to quickly introduce Dr. Venu, and he will be introducing his panel members, and we'll go from there. Thank you, Dr. Venu.
Hi, everyone. Are you guys awake? after a fantastic breakfast, wide spread of breakfast. Are you guys awake? Say yes. Are you guys awake? This will wake up your neighbors who are sleeping, okay? All right, let's go, okay? What is it? There is no anesthesiologist. That's right. So in a very short time, I need to cover the cardiology, pulmonary, brain, ENT, ophthalmology, and drug development and everything, okay? So please bear with me. I will try to do as much as possible. As far as medicine is concerned, we don't believe in artificial intelligence, okay? It is only augmented intelligence. So it is not artificial. Every medicine, we always focus on facts and figures. It amplifies a clinical decision making. We'll go into the details some more. Future of medicine. They told me I had developed about 160 slides because medicine has gone through roof. But they told me, Ram told me, no, you cannot do that. You can only do 40 slides. Okay, I said, okay. I just want to tell you, 1950, our medical knowledge doubled every 50 years. Today, every 2 months, medical knowledge doubles, partly because of AI incorporation. ChatGPT went for the medical exam, and 90% of the scores it scored. It's unbelievable. Now, medication, the patient is on 10 different medication. We are starting a new medication. No way in a short time we can refer and interactions and everything. Now, AI is telling us, hey, this interfering with this one, reduce this dose. It is unreal. Workflow management is also fantastic. CRISPR technology, we are able to know all the, so there are some genetic disorders like hemophilia, cystic fibrosis, variety of different things. And that is because of the genomes or RNAs and DNAs. You know what is a DNA, right? DNA are a series of sequence of amino acids in a proper way. If some of them are deranged, so they get a genetic disorder and they cannot function. Guess what? Now we are able to identify exactly where it is defective, which part of it is defective, and we can send messages from outside with a computer, go and identify the defective part of the gene and cut the gene, get that out of the way, and put a new area which is supposed to be that way. Thereby, we are able to treat the genetic disorders. Isn't it wonderful? Come on, give a clap for this technology. Awesome, awesome. It's also helping the drug discovery pipeline. CRISPR technology controls the cell function from outside. Precise DNA alterations, cell communication from outside, from computer to go to the cells and communicates. Gene defects, repairs the defects, and muscular dystrophy and cystic fibrosis can be treated. Now, nanomedicine, nanoparticles, you guys don't know, it's very, very, very tiny particles. We are utilizing the tiny particles to attach a drug, and that we are telling the tiny particle to go and identify the tumor cells, cancer cells, and deliver that medicine to the cancer cells. Okay? So we don't have to have systemic side effects. Do you remember chemotherapy when we give, you get ulcers, diarrhea, and all those things. Now we are eliminating everything. We are targeting the cancer cells and cancer cells only. And also, the cancer cells, whenever there is a cancer tumor, you know how many cells do we have in our body? 30 trillion cells. 30 trillion cells we have in our body, and each cell is dividing in a certain way. But unfortunately, some of the cells go astray. Instead of dividing every 3 months, it starts dividing every 30 seconds. And that's the reason why it multiplies, it becomes cancer. Okay? So, but the cancer is nourished by blood vessels. Lot of cancer cells invite lot of blood vessels, and so it can nourish rapidly, it can grow. But nanotechnology cuts off the blood supply for causing blood clots, and thereby the tumor is destroyed. Isn't it fantastic? Robot in our office, it is standing in the front. When the patient comes and talks to the robot, it asks the same questions the bankers will ask. What is your date of birth? What is your last 4 digits of a social security number? What is your zip number? And recognizes and sends the patient in. Takes the patient in, takes the blood pressure, and goes to the doctor. When the doctor comes in, it takes notes for the doctor. They don't have to sit down and type. Isn't it amazing? And vaccination clinics. You don't need to have a person gun there. All you do is one person there, instruct the patient to just clean it up, and then it just gives a shot. All kinds of technology thing. You know, you see here, smart glasses, bracelets, fingers, and smart rings. All kinds of things are there already available. And that communicates with the physician. Communicates with the physician's office so that they can recognize that the blood pressure is high or heart rate is very high or some things like that. Oh, this is fantastic. The patients with Parkinson's disease, they have a tendency to lose balance and they fall down. And they are incorporating special shoes in which there are multiple chips. And whenever they turn this way, it recognizes the pressure is this side, immediately sends a message to the patient, hey, go this way. Don't go to things, so that it can prevent the stroke. And also it tells the patient to have wider steps so that you won't fall down. Headband to recognize seizures. When the patient gets a seizure is not the problem. They don't know when they're going to get it. They fall down, they hit their head in the floor, hard floor, or hit it on the table, corner of the table, and they get head injury. That is one of the major problems. But this guy tells the patient 2 minutes ahead of time, hey, you're going to have a seizure. Find a carpeted area and lie down so that he will, even if the seizure occurs, he doesn't get injured. Wristband. It also not only warns a patient about what seizure is coming, it sends an ambulance to the patient's home. It sends an ambulance to the patient's home. Oh, this is phenomenal. Patients with a stroke, you know what they, right? They won't be able to walk. It's called cerebrum, right? Cerebrum, there are some centers who makes the legs walk. And this patient has not walked forever, for many years. They inserted a chip in the cerebral area from outside, from iPhone. They stimulate the brain and do it in appropriate algorithm, and he's able to get up and walk. Can you believe that? It's happening today. It is future is unbelievable. And the second one, this patient, there's an area called Broca's area in the brain, on the left side of the brain. And if that one the stroke happens there, patient cannot talk. They can understand what you're saying, but they cannot talk back. And again, the same chip, similar chip, they put it there with AI algorithm. When somebody talks to them, they'll understand. But normally they cannot express. They think the answer. For example, do you want coffee? Somebody is asking. Oh, yes, I would love to have that with cream and 2 spoons of sugar. And it types it. It types it in the printer. The message is going to the printer, and printer types it. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it? Hey, it's a fiction. Fiction has come true. Oh, my God. Same thing. One of the patients with amputated hand, and there is a prosthesis is there. And the patient wants to grab a glass of water. Before, it was not possible. With AI, they're able to send the message from the brain to the amputated hand. It just goes, grabs the water, and drinks. If you don't believe, you watch the 60 Minutes. Aura Ring, many of you are probably using that. It checks your heart rate, blood pressure, sleep pattern, oxygen saturation, everything. And during COVID time, the robot will go and sterilize everywhere. Because COVID time, nobody wanted to get into the rooms, exam rooms and all that. So it goes and cleans up everywhere. Sorry guys, I'm rushing the slides. If you really want, we have a conference, healthcare conference in July 12th, okay? Sign up. We are going to be running out of the space just like this. We'll try to find another bigger space, and we are going to have that extensively. We are going to have a lot of fantastic talks. AI in cardiology. Previously, if you do an angiogram, if there is 80% blockage, immediately we do a stent and bypass and all kinds of crap. Now, there is a heart flow system available. AI system is available. That blockage of 80% blockage is anatomy. Who cares about the anatomy? We talk about physiology. Is the blood, enough blood is going past that blockage and going there. That is the beauty. That we are able to estimate. And this one, look at this here. If it is 0.9 and it is a stenotic area, if it is below that, if it is 0.8 on above, then the patient does not need a surgery. Exactly that happened. One of my relatives had this test, 80% blockage. Surgeons, cardiologists always run and do the angioplasty, but we did this test. The patient had fantastic blood flow. So we skipped that. So why is it not? It's been allowed. Thousands of articles are there. You know why cardiologists, is there any cardiologists here? I won't tell anything. No. If the cardiologists never propagate this, you know why? They don't want to shoot themselves in the foot. That's the reason why. There's no money in telling them not to have angiogram, angioplasty. Oh, this is unbelievable. You know, stethoscope, you just listen to the heart, right? Unfortunately, sometimes men are obese and some women have large breasts, so we won't be able to listen to the heart clearly. Now we can increase the volume of the stethoscope. We'll be able to hear the voice. And then we can also, still if we're not clear, murmurs we won't be able to hear. So we can do sonograms. Sonograms are in the form of graph, just like EKG. So in between the heartbeat, there'll be other graph, sonogram will graph. And we'll be able to see whether there is a patient has valvular stenosis or valvular leak, so we can appropriately intervene. And in addition to that, it also does EKG. Can you believe that? Stethoscope is doing sonogram, and it's unbelievable. This is the same company is making another one, which is also a stethoscope, but it knows whether the patient is going to have heart failure. Never in the history of medicine we have encountered that. EKG, from the EKG, we are trying to find out what the heart failure is one of the toughest to treat. The largest amount of deaths are occurring because of heart failure, hospital admissions and everything. It detects it earlier, so we can start the medicine earlier, preemptively prevent the heart failure. This is a EKG thing. So it is available. Anybody can buy that. There is a condition called atrial fibrillation. Atrial fibrillation is rapid heartbeat and then suddenly it becomes normal. This is the commonest cause of stroke. Okay, commonest cause of stroke. Initially, you might feel dizzy. You might feel faint. Please go to the doctor and have a Holter monitor, cardiac evaluation. That will pick it up, atrial fibrillation, because that's a common. If you guys don't want stroke, then you do that. You don't mind stroke, that's okay. You can leave that. Okay, the same thing. You can see the EKG tracings. This is Sometime we won't be able to look at Holter monitor 1 day or 1 week length of time. You won't be able to pick up the irregularities. So this can be inserted into the chest wall like this. So that sends a message that atrial fibrillation is happening to the patient's phone, to the cloud. From the cloud, the cardiologist will also get that. AI in radiology. Radiology leads in AI. Reduced artifacts, reduced dosage of radiation, and enables fast scans. This is a real story. When the patient is going to the hospital emergency room with a chest pain, whenever the chest pain is occurring, we need to think about pulmonary embolism. Pulmonary embolism is a dangerous condition, and it can cause death. So they did a CT scan, and radiologists read it as no pulmonary embolism. So let's admit the patient to the regular cardiology floor, just to check the cardiac. But the AA say, hey, don't make mistake. The patient has fractured rib. Can you believe that? AI is telling the radiologist, hey, it's a fractured rib. So instead of admitting the patient in cardiology unit, the patient was sent home. Another doctor, the radiologist, during COVID time, the patient is having shortness of breath. The patient is having, the radiologist diagnosed it as COVID pneumonia. So the patient was ready to go to the infectious disease floor. But the AI says, no, don't send that. The patient has pulmonary embolism. So the patient was sent to ICU instead. Isn't it fantastic? It's going to change the entire medicine. Multiple sclerosis, very difficult to diagnose. It shows beautiful spots where the multiple sclerosis lesions are. Treatment-wise, multiple sclerosis, they do an MRI, they see whether it is there or not to decide about the treatment. And the radiologist says that these patients, about 1,000 patients, these patients, 76% of the patients are stable, you don't need any treatment. But the AI says that no, 75% it is not under control, the patients need treatment. Medicine is changing forever. Alzheimer's disease, very difficult to pick up. Look at the difference. Regular MRI, regular CT scan, and with the AI. This is fabulous. This is Wiz. This product name is called Wiz. So what it does is it works in your iPhone. It's a practical thing, right? You don't have to go to the hospital to look at the computer, right? So when the patient comes to the hospital, the patient is complaining of abdominal pain or chest pain, CT scan is done. Siemens and other companies do that software. So it immediately, even before the radiologist sees that, radiologist is busy seeing patients. So radiologist, it says, no, this patient has dissecting aneurysm. The patient immediately needs care. It sends a message to the ER doctor. It sends an image and the message to the surgeon, vascular surgeon. It sends a message to the ICU. It sends a message to the primary care doctor's office. Everything is done simultaneously. So everybody will be prepared. ICU will clear up the room and everything. It's marvelous future is ahead, guys. Okay, same way, pulmonary embolism, similar thing. ICU is indicated, intensive care unit is indicated, pulmonary pulmonology is indicated. Similar thing, CT scan of the head, large vessel occlusion, intracranial hemorrhage. You see the hemorrhage there. This is a subdural hemorrhage and visceral aneurysm. So all these things can be done and all the specialists are instantly informed. Prostate, enlarged prostate can be a benign enlarged prostate or it can be cancer. This immediately detects. We don't know unless we do the biopsy. It tells us, hey, you don't need a biopsy, this guy has cancer. And also it also tells us where the tumor is, where to do the biopsy. AI detects, mammogram detects with AI 2 years ahead of the cancer diagnosis, 2 years. So all these women's life can be saved. Oh my God, it's unreal. Not only that, we can have the MRI and ultrasound and precisely know exactly what the tumor is, and we can do a needle biopsy right away. Lung cancer, easily, one or 6 months ahead of time, we can recognize that. Oh, this is fantastic. The fracture, the patient is going to the emergency room with fractures, okay? So they are not able to detect what is the fracture from. The patient did not fall down. So MRI makes all the ribs straight. You know, it's very difficult to look at, right? All the organs are there, very difficult to identify. Straight. So now we know this fracture is due to metastatic. Cancer has spread into the ribs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, multiple areas. Cancer has spread into all these ribs. That's the reason why. 3D MRIs. You will be able to see all the organs, fantastic, inside the organs, all of them. If a fracture is happening, if the fracture is happening here, we want to make sure that the liver is also not injured, right? So we'll have a technology into we can just go step by layer, by layer, by layer, see whether there is liver is involved. There is a cancer here. We want to see where it has spread. Now there are 3D MRIs. You'll be able to see where the cancer is, whether it has affected the lymph nodes, the arteries, veins, all the things, thyroid and everything. Amyloid disease, the same thing we talked about it. Oh, regenerative medicine, it's fantastic. Okay, the scar tissue is now we are able to produce organs, different organs. Heart muscle, we are able to produce in the lab. Liver, you are able to produce in the lab. So what are the benefits? If the patient has heart attack, there is a scarring of the artery, or the wall of the artery. So now it will lead to congestive heart failure. 1/3 of the patients with heart attack will develop congestive heart failure in 1 year. 50% of all the patients with heart attack will develop heart failure in 5 years. Heart failure is cause of the death, I mentioned to you. Now we're able to resect the scar tissue and put that cardiac tissue there, and it'll start functioning. The heart failure is gone. Organoids, we are able to produce, before we used to do the experiments on people, human live, right? Okay, to see whether there is liver abnormality or something like that. Now we are able to produce organoids, liver tissue, make it into a bulk of liver tissue, and we can do transplantation. That we are heading there towards that. Kidney tissue, we can create it, because so many people are not dying in accidents. We always need kidney transplant donors. So we can produce kidney tissue in the lab. And then cheaper colonoscopies, because AI is doing the colonoscopy, sedation. It knows exactly how many times they breathe and how much the oxygen level. It adjusts the colonoscopy thing. AI in ophthalmology, it is unreal. With DeepMind AI, just looking at the eye, retina, 50 different diseases can be identified. I'm repeating it. Looking at the retina, 50 different diseases can be diagnosed with AI. Contact lenses, guess what? Contact lens, it can detect the glucose and it can help glaucoma. Scientific fiction is coming into true. Retina implant. The guy who has been blind, they implanted a chip into the retina. My God, he is ecstatic. My God, for the first time I'm seeing colorful things. Oh my God, in my life I have not seen. Contraceptive pill. You can implant a contraceptive pill into the belly, and with your iPhone you can operate. Okay, when you want to have pregnancy, when you don't want to have a pregnancy, you control. Okay, you don't need to pop up all the contraceptive pills. Isn't it amazing? AI in dermatology. All you do is look at the lesion, it tells you exactly what is the diagnosis. Okay? If it is a simple mole, you don't have to go to the doctor and pay $300 of consultation. Okay, it knows. Only abnormal things, you go and take a biopsy. From home, they can do. I recently invested in a company, because it's the investors group, I invested in a company called RomTech. Okay, they do physical therapy at home. So one physical therapist can do only 4 patients a day. Now with the AI technology, they put the machine and everything, and cell phone, everything. He sits in the clinic and sees about 15, 20 monitors. He can monitor everybody. 1 hour, 10 different things can be accomplished. A lot of times we are not able to, in bronchoscopy, we cannot be able to go into the tumor, okay, because they're all small arteries are there. I mean, some small bronchioles are there. Now with AI, thinner bronchoscopes are available, and in the tip there is ultrasound. It sends ultrasound and finds where the tumor is. It navigates into the small bronchioles to reach the tumor to take a biopsy. Pulmonologists cannot do that all the way down. Sepsis, ER sepsis. The previous speaker told how important it is to diagnose sepsis. Emergency room patient, there are hundreds and hundreds of lab results and exam findings and everything. Immediately it tells the ER doctor, hey, watch out, the patient may go for sepsis. Okay? 3 days ahead of time. 3 days ahead of time. So immediately the patient can be admitted in ICU, appropriate things can be taken care of, and the patients can be alive. Okay, this is one of the things. 24 hours prior to the shock, another software. And 2/3 of the patients prior to organ dysfunction, it can detect, and 60% of the patients increased detection performance. Nuance, I know that it plays. Okay, I don't have time because already Ram is looking at me. What is it? What is it? Okay, so Jay and Ram are responsible for me to cut short the presentation. Look at this, robotic surgeries, medical marvel. Okay, so the robotics are performing thing, and then surgeons are just looking at it and getting paid for that. Can you believe that? Drug discovery, it is unreal amount of. This morning I sat down and eliminated 30 slides because I want to face them. They'll be standing with the whiplash. All right. Drug discovery. This drug discovery, it is exploding. Accelerating identification of the potential drug candidates, predicting the efficiency, enhancing the FDA approval, and drug testing. Drug testings are done in organoids. Do you remember I talked to you? You don't have to give it to the patients and they complain about bitching and moaning. You don't have to do that. You can do it in organoids, kidney cells and liver, and see whether there is any side effects there or not. Okay, so we are avoiding unhappy patients. $30 billion are spent for drug discovery on each one of them, okay? Now you know why the medicines are so expensive, okay? When I was practicing, majority of the patients told me that I would rather die of the disease rather than starvation, okay? I cannot afford the medicine. And this is the reason why. Guess what? It's going to change. Google has detected 200 million proteins. 200 million proteins with which we can do the research, and drug discovery is going to be much faster. Robot will see you now. Palm 2, as we are seeing the patients, it tells about the differential diagnosis, treatment plan, drug-to-drug interaction I mentioned to you. Progress notes are documented. Now that I have a little bit more time, I want to tell you a real story, okay? So I had to have a nasal surgery, sinus surgery. So I want to have a clearance. I'm a retired doctor. 2 years ago I retired, so I cannot write a note myself. So I called one of the guys. There are about 5 of my friends said, "Oh, I'll see you." But I said, no, I don't care. I want to see a person with artificial intelligence because I'm just a doctor, but I'm fascinated with technology. So I told them, find me who is a doctor. So one of the guys said, I'm a. So I went there, and then he took the phone and then turned it on and asked me, hey, you recently went to India. How was your trip? I said, it was fantastic. We had a good time. What are the places you went? I went to Kashmir and all that. How is your wife? I thought I saw her postings. She went to Singapore. I said, but you turned it on. It's a medical thing, software. It is recording everything what we are talking. He is telling me, no. It knows that I'm socializing. It eliminates everything. And then he asked me, what are the medicines you're taking? I told about 4 medicines, okay? Hypertension. So I know, I didn't say it's hypertension. I told the medicine for hypertension, medicine for cholesterol, multiple, herbal medicine. That's all he did. I did. Anyway, to make the story short, by the time I could take an EKG and come back, he brought his computer and it said everything. This age person, I don't want to tell my age, this person is coming for clearance and this and that, all the detail. We never talked about it. And then when he listened to my lungs and heart, he says, verbally, heart is good, lungs are clear, everything is written. And diagnosis, he never said hypertension, cholesterol and all that. From my medicines, it interpreted hypertension, cholesterol. And in the progress notes, it says, his blood pressure is good. We'll advise him to continue the same dosage and all those things. So it's fantastic. And then patient education materials, right away it gives. Relieves a workload burden immensely. Exciting future of exploding technology in healthcare is yet to unravel. We are rolling up our sleeves to answer all your questions. Come on, shoot. after the break, yeah.
Yeah. Venu Prabhakar is the chairperson for our healthcare. Yeah, I'm a wireless guy. Healthcare conference on July 12th.
Guys, sign up. We are going to have top-notch speakers from healthcare.
And
we will enroll them personally. I'm going to beg them, make them come here. Okay? Okay.
If you want to sponsor healthcare conference, call Venu Prabhakar or me or Ram anytime. Could be midnight, 2 a.m., anything. We need sponsors. We would have been able to do this conference without no sponsors.
Call me before midnight.
Hey, don't send your presentation to Elon Musk. He'll fire everybody left at NIH.
Thank you, Dr. Venu. I wish I had so much passion for my field of work. So really quick, I would like to take Sujit and Jay. Do want to take like 5 minutes, give your thoughts, please. Yeah.
I'll go rather quickly.
Oh.
Since we are short of time, I had prepared introduction slides for them, and so now I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves.
Thank you so much. Can you guys hear me? No. Thanks a lot. My name is Jay Srinivasan. I'm the CEO of a local company called Truvian. So Truvian is a company that's, we're getting ready actually in a week to submit to the FDA. We've actually done what was promised by Theranos years ago, which was that we would provide blood testing with a few drops of blood. They said one, we need more than one, we need about 8 drops of blood. But we've been able to prove that we can actually bring the central lab to everybody. So if you just think about having to scale to every human on the planet, which is how I view our mission, I think we'll be able to do that with a platform like this. At the next conference we have, I'll be happy to bring the product over and give everyone an opportunity to actually get blood tested. We're in fact doing it at Next Med Health tomorrow and the day after in Coronado. I try to avoid that one because we're in the middle of many things, but we still are going to do it. So anyone who's coming to Coronado, please come. You can visit us and you can get your blood drawn. The thesis of Truvian, and which is where all this AI comes into play, is I always say this to most people, and there's a lot of folks from India here, but I say I grew up in a military family in India. In India, there's a concept of a nukkad, which is the end of every street. That's sort of the street corner. And, at the end of every street is where people meet, where people fall in love, where people have fights. That's where the pharmacy is, and that's where I want to be. And that's where Truvian's going to be, at the end of every street in the world. But most importantly, I think one of the things, I would say, because I had an opportunity to speak at VIVE, which is a healthcare conference recently, and at South by Southwest. And my topic at South by Southwest was about ethical medical innovation. And, I think foundationally, as Dr. Prabhakar was saying, right, you become a physician or be in healthcare to first do no harm. And that's foundationally been sort of the basis of how we've built our business. We're located here in UTC and sort of Campus Point. If you get a chance, do come visit us. I mean, we do offer blood tests for free today, but it's going to be a matter of time before we are commercial, and I probably won't offer anyone free blood tests if I got to keep my numbers. But at the end, the piece around AI that I want to point out is like, I've always believed you can't scale to every human on the planet by just blood testing. You have to scale to every human on the planet by actually having a doc in the pocket. And everyone said just before me, the most important thing there is to actually get a clinical decision support kind of system built into every smartphone, because everyone carries one, and that allows us the luxury of actually delivering blood testing to anyone, anywhere. But thank you for your time, and would love to chat more offline. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Much appreciated.
Thanks. Fascinating hearing Dr. Prabhakar. Really inspiring. So we are taking a small slice of what Dr. Prabhakar mentioned. He mentioned various different things. We are particularly working with cardiovascular clinics, and cardiometabolic diseases are the ones that we are focusing on using AI. But there's a particular aspect of AI that we are looking at. We are creating digital twins of every patient that are enrolled in our program. And we are using agentic AI. Some of you might be hearing this word agentic AI. We have been developing it from 2016, along with our partners those days, Kaiser Permanente, Samsung Digital Health, Teradata, and so on, Teradata right in town. So what do we do is we enroll patients in our program. We create these digital twins. These digital twins are a journey along with you. They are not replicating you, but they are understanding you and figuring out, what are the root causes, what are the relationships between what you are doing and your cardiometabolic disease. And so imagine that, it's a constant mapping function going on, and that map keeps changing. And what the agentic AI platform does is, we have these agents which are essentially, constantly advising you about, what to do. It's trying to figure out the balance between your medicine and lifestyle aspects, and trying to figure out, what you should do, what you should have, and so on, so that your cardiometabolic diseases, like, for instance, your glycemic response is under control. So that's what we have been doing. Our research started in 2016, as I mentioned, with Kaiser and Samsung and Teradata and Qualcomm. And then it progressed into various clinical trials. We have extensively published our results. And in 2022, we started commercially developing this. And in 2024, we went commercial. And we now are serving almost all health systems in San Diego County, except for Sharp. We are working with everyone, Scripps, UCSD Health, Palomar, Neighborhood Healthcare, MD Revolution, et cetera, et cetera. Our journey has just started, but we are extremely passionate about solving, these are world's problem. It's not just in US, it's really worldwide. So we have taken that passion to India, and we are not only doing R&D, but we are actually engaging with health systems in India. And one of the things that I'm really excited about, many of you might be aware of Art of Living. How many of you are aware of Art of Living? So we just signed an R&D agreement with Art of Living. Essentially, in my mind, is Ayurveda meets AI. So that's what we are trying to do with them. And we have hundreds of patients already in India, but we are looking at these associations like Art of Living to really expand exponentially there, and through that, in the neighboring countries, including Singapore and so on. So thank you for your time, and you'll get to hear more about us, about our journey, the results we are getting in the next conference that we'll be having. Thank you.
Thank you, Sujit. And I'd like to invite Naresh Lachmandas next for his panel. Naresh, thank you very much. I know you asked for like 90 minutes. Now you have like 25 minutes to do it.
I'm down to 25. Okay. Is my colleague joining me?
And Ellen Chang?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have the remote? You're going to put my thing up there, right? So, hi, Ellen. Yeah. So, real quick, while we're waiting, is Cheryl here? So I just want to let you know that I started working before MS-DOS was released. I don't know if anybody knows what MS-DOS is. It's the precursor to Windows as you know it today. And anyway, so I just wanted to thank you. So the intention of our discussion today is more about giving you an idea of what some of the trends in the industry for aerospace defense, and it's very correlated to manufacturing as well. And then my colleague Alan's going to go into share with you some more. We've heard about AI, we heard about augmented intelligence. I just heard about Ayurvedic intelligence, but she's going to go into some really cool areas that can really help this industry in manufacturing and A&D as well. So that's our game plan. So what I'd like to do is just kind of just set the stage for as we go through this. I think you heard Kevin go into how we're dealing with this crisis, right? So disruptions. It started going back to 2020. So 5 years ago, do you remember what life was like about? We were all working in the office, life was normal, supply chains were fine, business was working fine, and guess what happened? The world changed on us. But even before then, from a labor standpoint, what was the challenge? Oh, the Gen Z, Gen X, how they're thinking differently. That was the labor challenges we had, hiring people and having them think in a different model. But then with COVID, the whole disruption, the whole work from home concept, what it did to supply chain and people, right? And then you couple that with, as Kevin got into the global conflicts and the geopolitical situation we're dealing with, and it's been rapidly changing. And you had the Russia-Ukraine, South China Sea, the Israel-Hamas thing, and then of course in parallel with the technology shifts that have been happening, we talked about Gen AI, ChatGPT, all that good stuff, augmented intelligence, et cetera. And then guess what happened a month ago? We got the tariffs come in. Now, what is this telling us, right? This is the new norm as we go forward. Now, as far as enterprises are concerned, if you really look at when there was disruptions, they all hit the pause button on making decisions, right? And they'd hold off on transformation, driving that level of change. However, as you given that this is the new norm, I feel this is just going to keep happening. There will be other variations as we go forward. How do we help enterprises think differently, right? And it comes down to, if you think about change, typically they drove change, the transformation internally. This new world is forcing from the outside in to drive change. Because if you don't change, it's going to impact your financials. It's going to impact your business as well. So our role here is to help these enterprises across the board, it's manufacturing, aerospace, defense, and all of that, and to think differently and give them solutions to take it forward. So I just wanted to kind of set the stage, so the impacts of AI and technology, right? And Kevin had talked about that, but as we're projecting in 2030, 70% of the firms are going to start to leverage these technologies and will implement AI, whatever variation we've heard of that concept. And it's going to be key to help them get there. Now, I just kind of put this framework together from an aerospace and defense perspective, but if you really look, it's about design, build, sustain. This applies to manufacturing as well, but A&D is a lot more complexity from several different angles, from a compliance side as well. So when you talk about, now one thing I just want to point out, aerospace and defense, there's a commercial aspect of it, which is the planes for, the airlines, et cetera. And there's the defense side. Now, on the defense side, they are way ahead on the products they deliver from a technology standpoint. Then we'll see some of those 5 years from now in the public domain. However, there's things I saw when I was a CIO in that space, in a classified space. I cannot talk about it because then I have to kill you guys, because but what's really interesting, I'm observing those technologies like AR, VR, et cetera, that was there 10 years ago within that space, is now becoming a norm for us in the public domain. So it's really interesting to see how they use the technology for the products. However, their business operations are very legacy, old school mindset. Why? Because they're really concerned about protecting their IP, the firewalls, the security pieces. And also the old school approach was all about cost plus. So you build it, the DoD pays a margin, it's cost plus. Now it's all competitive, right? As we've seen lately, and this is public information, so I can say this, General Atomics, a local company in San Diego, they closed some very big deals internationally. They beat out the big A&D companies, Northrop, Lockheed, Raytheon, all that for deals. Why? Because their prices were competitive. And this is going to be the model that most A&D companies need to shift towards. And also, if you look at the disruption that happened with the Russia-Ukraine crisis, what did it highlight within that industry? Yes, we supplied Ukraine with our supplies. However, backfilling them is a challenge, right? Because we've gone to that old school mindset. I was reading an article a couple of days ago that showed that some of the European companies are able to produce a ship 50% faster than the US, time-wise. So and now with the latest tariff crisis and that we're dealing with, it's pushing a lot of the business into Europe, and there could be expansion on that front. So what does that mean for the US side? We need to change our model and differently. Again, design, build, sustain, this is there. I just want to lay that foundation, so as Ellen will go through some of the discussions, it'll correlate to that. Again, some of the key drivers for change, and this is based on our research, based on discussions we've had in this industry. The supply chain, this is impacted across the board. The using cutting edge technology, they're doing that today, but it's in early stages to support the maintenance repair operations, which is sustaining. The sustainability side, workforce modernization, cyber threats, and of course now also leveraging quantum computing. And so this is what's happening right now, but this needs to be accelerated further to take it forward. Not going to go into all the details, Again, the adoption of AI agents across the different industries. The high adoption, of course, you can see at the top there. But where's manufacturing? Kind of in the middle. You know, transformation has not been easy for them to adopt. Yes, they're putting in certain places. I think there's a lot more opportunity on that front. A&D is a little bit on the lower side, but we believe there's more opportunities, you know, as entrepreneurs, you guys, as you bring solutions to the table, helping them get to a better place. So and again, coming back to what Kevin talked about earlier, and Kevin, I stole this slide from your deck, okay? Basically, this is gonna help us get to the imagination age, and this is what it's all about, okay? So what I'd like to do now is, Ellen, I'd like to have you introduce yourself. We can shut the slides off, okay? And just take it forward from there. Share your thoughts, introduce yourself, and let's take it from there.
Absolutely. Test. Hi, everyone. My name is Ellen Chang. I'm a longtime San Diegan, been here for 30 years. The Navy brought me here, so I spent about 8 years with the Navy, active duty, went off to business school, came back eventually, kind of in the investment realm. 9/11 happened, got recalled, did my duty there. On the heels of that, ended up joining Northrop Grumman. Therein defines my significant part of my career in aerospace and defense. I joined as a systems engineer, ended up running a program. It was one of the autonomous systems. So autonomy way back when, competitor to General Atomics. We're all friends here in San Diego, competimates in front of me. But a formative part of building kind of autonomous systems. Leapfrog, the last 10 years, I left them in 2010 and got into startups. Been with a defense innovation consultancy. We did design thinking for the Department of Defense, kind of helping them change their culture. And today I find myself with a private equity firm looking at funding, infrastructure, as well as supply chain, as well as what I'm going to lead into, this manufacturing, kind of advanced manufacturing, and then what we call physical AI. So let me draw some linkages to what Naresh just showed you. So given that our supply chain, so generally speaking, a lot of the systems that we build are traditionally manufactured, and we're still trying to move it into advanced manufacturing. It's a little bit slow, but we're getting there. A lot of it actually has to deal with qualification processes. Some of the agencies have, because they want us to be safe. You know, notice that, I don't know if you know this, but Pratt & Whitney, they have had contamination in their metal powder. They had 3D printed some of their engines. Guess what? Over 100 of them are sitting on the sidelines, and the customers are waiting, and they got a $4 billion charge to their company, right? So it's for safety reasons. So that's why it does take a long time. But I do want to talk about the potential, and sorry if I have to refer to some of my notes. So within additive manufacturing, there's also subtractive manufacturing, the machining, the precision parts require using machines to take away materials, and then you have the additive where you're building up layer by layer. You can actually connect all those machines together. You have drawings that engineers or technicians write, and then essentially they're digital today, but it's file by file. Over time, some of the more advanced companies are actually creating a digital thread between all of these different machines and all of these different parts and the materials and the new materials, the different types of materials that are being constructed. Like, there's a lot of material science innovation. Can you hear me? There you go. Thank you. As well as composite materials, and this is all evolving individually. But some of the more advanced folks are starting to pull all of that together. 3D, Divergent 3D. I don't know if anyone heard of Divergent 3D. They build race cars using 3D printing processes. They're up in Orange County. A really, really cool company. We have Hadrian. Anyone hear of Hadrian? Hadrian, A16Z company. Machine stitching. The founder is actually machine shop. I guess experienced person, and he went to A16Z, said, "Hey, I want to automate all this stuff." And so he's I don't know, they're over $1 billion, definitely a unicorn right now. And so these are some of the companies that are coming to fore as the aerospace and defense entities are starting to adopt these companies. I recently went to General Atomics here in town and toured their factory. They have all kinds of different 3D printing machines that are building all kinds of parts. The magic they have is designed for advanced manufacturing, taking 3,000 parts, making a system only 30 parts, using Hadrian, Divergent 3D, and these companies as contract manufacturers and pulling it all together. And now I'm involved in a project to actually add, you want to call it add AI, but basically what we're doing is actually getting all the machines to talk to each other and starting to create a learning loop so that at some point we can actually do the orchestration of the whole system of manufacturing. So that's kind of what's going on. Another part I would...
Can I just jump in on there?
Sure.
Let me borrow the mic. So, no. So what she's just, okay, then I'll let you.
Oh, you want me to go into physical? So there's also this field called physical AI. We heard a lot about the biology, the genome, digitizing our body. Well, that's taking place also in the physical world. If you think about Waymo, what are they doing? I'll bring it home to most of the folks. Shield AI, anybody know who they are? Yeah, San Diego company, right? Starting back in 2012, they were starting to figure out how to digitize kind of the flight path, and they now have this brain that flies F-18, for example. But that's basically what they're doing, is taking all the sensing and the spatial relationships and then putting them into a digital environment and creating a learning environment around it. I mean, we're applying large language models to these right now. Think about Gen AI as basically the internet as a surface area. Now we have to, physical AI is actually doing measurements, 3D, and taking physics models and digitizing those and making them putting relationships together, right? Just like your biology, your body, you have to do it. You have to figure that out. We have to do that with the physical world. And I think there's a lot of promise. Waymo and all these guys they were funded a while back. Anduril is a company up in Orange County, about to go public. Shield AI, about to go public. All these companies are actually moving forward. Here in San Diego, we are a military town, but I know life sciences kind of takes over. I'll just part with this. I'm super excited about some of these large language model physics-based kind of pairing the mechanical physical world with the digital world. I think there's a lot of, it's going to be tedious to build all of these models, but there's so much potential in creating, at least with what you just talked about, our supply chain and industrial capacity. Essentially, we could leapfrog. One of our near-peer threats is China. They have hundreds and thousands of machines, and their manufacturing base is a lot bigger than ours these days. But right now, some of the advanced thinking is, how do we leapfrog them? So going back to General Atomics, this project that we're working on, we think we can build things with 10% of the cost, 10% of the labor, and 10% of the schedule. And that's the key right here.
Yeah, and can you guys hear me? So the schedule part, I think that's really key as you move forward, because yes, in today's world, it's all about due diligence, compliance, and all those aspects. But that process internally that we have within our domain here in the US, it's very slow. And if we can drive that change, help them leveraging AI innovation technologies and drive that change, I think that's the value prop that can help as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so beyond schedule, usually, especially in the Department of Defense, these programs are 3 times.
Be careful what you say.
3 times the budget, 3 times the time it takes. Our shipbuilding industry is really, really terrible. But we are hopeful that as we actually educate some of the Department of Defense. Well, let me just leapfrog to Trump and who he's bringing into the Department of Defense. I know it's a little bit of a train wreck right now, but some of the folks that are on the civilian world coming into the Department of Air Force, the Deputy Department of Defense, Steve Feinberg, he's Cerebus's founder. I don't know if you know the big private equity firm, Cerebus. John Phelan coming in with the Navy, he's He's a PE guy. I guess he took Dell private. It sounds like the business guys are coming into the DoD. So I think we'll have a little bit more movement in terms of speeding things up.
Well, I hope so. And honestly, it's the helping fast track that is going to be key. The other side of the equation is from the people side. What are you seeing the change from helping we always look at transformation. 5 minutes left. Actually, it says 6:31 here. Okay.
I'm going to take 6:31 over here.
So if you look at change, it's people, process, technology. It's traditional model for transformation. The other aspect is the cultural piece. That's the fourth leg I'm adding to that equation. So what are your thoughts on that front?
Yeah, so for the work front, when you brought up COVID, what challenged the aerospace and defense sector, especially in the commercial aviation, is a lot of folks, this industry is fairly, I'm going to use age heavy. The average age is at least 55. So that's graying, right? So COVID showed up, and all of a sudden, a whole bunch of people retired. The experience level went from 18 years to 4. So we are getting new workers, but what's interesting is that two things. Training into the industry is not just old school manufacturing, if you will. It's actually all the advanced capabilities, technologies, robotics. So it's super exciting. Some of the training is coming down to the technician level. A lot of the community colleges here in San Diego actually offer education in these lines, like Mira Mesa, Miramar College, the one Mira Costa up near Oceanside, wonderful programs. What's interesting is the tool belt generation, basically grads that are coming, folks that are going, graduating from high school today are looking at the university price, not wanting to be in debt, and are starting to choose to opt into kind of manufacturing roles for at least a couple of years. And I think that's great because we do need new, fresh talent to come into this industry.
Yeah, it's an interesting observation. By the way, I'm a baby boomer, if you guys haven't figured that one out. But several years ago when I was at L3 Technologies, one things we noticed was a lot of our engineers were baby boomers. And as they're retiring, getting the younger generation to step in was perceived as a challenge. So maybe leveraging these technologies can help fast track. Yes, there are people still interested, but the volume of interest has significantly dropped based on the current generation out there.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks are still going into the engineering, like the aerospace engineering, mechanical engineering and stuff. So that always requires a four-year degree, but a lot of the work doesn't require engineering degree.
Yeah.
And so that's where, I guess I was just talking to my husband. He grew up during the time when America was building cars and all this, and he just inherited. His dad was a machine shop guy, and he just thinks differently about this environment. I came in the digital age, and it's despite being at Northrop Grumman and walking around all kinds of manufacturing lines, it's still quite different than being in a machine shop, right? So what's interesting is the young folks are now embracing some of the machine
So as
shops.
we're coming to close, any last minute comment statement you want to make to help the audience?
Depending on your interest, I think America's evolved quite a bit over the last 5-6 years. Especially I'm on the investment side, and I see a lot of private capital coming into kind of this physical, rebuilding, reindustrializing is a trend right now here in America, as well as kind of this physical AI. And so as you guys think about how you want to apply, where you want to, take your interest, I would definitely encourage looking at this domain because it's kind of a very, especially folks who are doing startups. I mean, it's moving quite quickly. Yes, Pankaj.
And then what is Wharton Alumni Angels?
Oh, you want to jump to that? So Pankaj and I, Wharton Alumni Angels, so we have an angel investment group that is comprised of mostly Wharton alumni, Penn alumni, and we're kind of across the U.S., somewhat global, a couple chapters overseas. And we actually we have a deep tech group, which funds some of these companies that are starting up. That life sciences group is very, very active, run by Jim Carroll, who himself has a life sciences startup, both biotech as well as health tech. And we have a consumer group that looks at a lot of companies that way.
Yes.
What is MS-DOS? I don't know what it means.
Microsoft Disk Operating System. This is before Windows existed.
I have a question for Ellen. I think you mentioned that there is a tectonic shift in defense industry, right? I see a lot of innovators coming up with products and all that, and the whole model. Previously, it used to be contract. Lockheed Martin would get a contract for F-16 or F-18, and now I think people are developing products for defense. How do you see that shaping up?
I see the product side accelerating. The old model is starting to get disrupted. The old model is also a new model. If you go way back in the 40s and 50s, there was no such thing as a cost-plus contract in kind of doing design development, getting paid that way. Harris Technologies, that L3 bought, actually funded their products and then sold them to the government. I think it's healthy. Defense Innovation Unit is a very forward-leaning innovation entity. They fundamentally fund product-based companies. They're in town, pretty big presence and growing. And then when Trump was elected, you saw the General Atomics leadership as well as the L3 leadership both post public announcements on LinkedIn saying we're product first, et cetera. So I think you're going to see that a lot of pressure. I do know that some of the primes that we know, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, that are familiar with the cost-plus contracts are quite concerned and are trying to evolve.
So a closing remark from my side. Again, the industry needs to start to recognize and deal with these volatile times, right? And they need to start to take steps to deal with the supply chain resiliency, the sourcing model as well, how they're looking at life, because where they get their parts before to all, single supplier, and then the supply chain completely disrupted, all of that, and start to leverage technologies to help them stay ahead of the curve. And with Europe now stepping up and looking to have more production out there, it really requires us to think differently and out of the box. Thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Naresh. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Naresh. Thank you, Ellen. So anybody want to stretch a little bit? Like 1 minute quick stretch?
Yes. Is it going to be like this for the rest of the day?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. So next, I would like to introduce somebody who is the marketing machine for TIE. And I'd like to invite Vinay Bhagat onto the stage.
Come on, Vinay.
Okay. Thanks, Horatio. Can you hear me? Okay. Wow. I didn't even notice the turnout until I got up here. This is great. Well, thank you for coming today. This is exactly how we hoped it would turn out, so that's always gratifying. I'm up here to introduce Thai women, and I'm very excited about that. Before I start, I'd like to acknowledge 3 people who are helping us today. Ashruti, for those of you that are wondering how are we even remotely staying on time, it's because of Ashruti. Please give her a round of applause. She's doing a great job. For those of you that don't know, we're also doing live social media, so I want to acknowledge Erica. Thank you so much for your help. And then I think I saw Sarah, right? Is Sarah here? Oh, got it. Okay, so thank you, you guys. Okay, so the reason I'm up here is to introduce a new initiative called Thai Women. Exactly 1 week ago, we were 2 floors directly above our head launching this new initiative. The initiative is designed to provide mentorship to entrepreneurs. Provide a mentorship to entrepreneurs all around the country. So if you're an up-and-coming female entrepreneur, you've just started a business, but you want to surround yourself with a lot of smart people, these are mentors. What really separates it from like a Shark Tank or a different mentorship program is that it's week after week. So you get to interact with smart people week after week. You get feedback, you write a new prospectus, you get feedback on that. And then lastly, we have amazing talent in Thai women as well. We have Haima, whom I'm about to introduce. We also have a lot of professionals in the VC space who have read thousands of decks and prospectuses and can give you invaluable feedback if you're launching a new company. So for all those reasons, we're super excited about Thai women. And I think the biggest reason is we have a great leader. We have a great chapter lead named Haima. Haima, would you like to come up here? Haima has an incredible financial background, which makes her the perfect lead for Thai women. She's also put in incredible amount of energy, having coffees, meeting with folks, so much so that when we launched, we pretty much were fully staffed, the program. So thank you for everything you've done, and I'll turn it over. Thanks, Haima.
Thank you. Thanks, Vinay. Hello, everyone. Like Vinay said, my name is Haima Galamudi. And I'm going to say a little bit about myself. I'm an economist by training. And I got an opportunity and I was offered a tenure track faculty position. I turned it down because at that point I had a 6-month-old baby and I took up an industry job. For 20 years, I worked in healthcare space, data analytics. And then around the time COVID happened, I again changed and I went into financial planning. Why am I saying all this about myself? Hold on to that thought, okay? Now go back to, I think Kevin, when he presented his slide deck, there was one particular slide where you talked about, it was 3 rows and 7 columns of Indus origin entrepreneurs, CEOs. There were 21 of them, just 2 women. So what does that mean? Does it mean that women are not entrepreneurial or not smart enough? Of course not. In fact, women are more entrepreneurial than men. But what it tells is 2 things. Number one, the societal demands on women are much higher than they are on men. That's number one. That's coming from the external. I'm not making any judgment call on whether it is right or wrong. I'm just stating the fact that that's how it is. The societal demands on women are a lot more. And the second thing is, and this is the inverse, the way women are wired, their priorities are slightly different. That is, they will put their personal advancement on the back burner for the sake of others. That's the way they are wired. That's the way nature is. There would be no creation. It doesn't matter how great the creation is. If the female, the women, not just humans, take any species, if they didn't have that aspect of giving it back to others, even if it means their own sacrifice, today there would be no creation. We would all not be here. That's how nature designed and is ensuring that this creation continues. So, what does that mean? So what that means is there's this streak of talent. Women are as creative, if not more creative, or as entrepreneurial, if not more entrepreneurial than men are. If we do not tap into that aspect, we are letting half of the talent base go to waste. So there is a responsibility amongst all of us to go and embrace, encourage, and empower that talent and bring it out. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Thai Women Initiative. Okay? Now, I want to say a little bit about how this whole thing got started. About 5 years ago, Thai Global, decided to start this Thai Women Initiative. And they do a lot of other programs, but I'm going to focus on one particular initiative they have called the Global Pitch. So what they are doing is, from each participating chapter, they expect one entry to be sent to the Thai Global, you sponsor a entrepreneur, a woman entrepreneur, and then they are coached and they're mentored. In a minute, I'll talk a little bit more about that aspect. And then there is a funding, a competition, like a pitch, global pitch competition, and the prize money for that is $100,000 to their own, the women, which are the entrepreneur, the startup, okay, for that idea. So what that means, what does that mean at the chapter level for us? That is, here, for instance, San Diego chapter, we are going to participate in that global pitch competition, which means we have to find those women entrepreneurs, enroll them into the program, and then we are going to mentor and coach them and prepare them in all aspects and finalize one person and sponsor them to send them for the finals, which is going to be held in December in India. But doesn't mean only one entrepreneur is going to benefit from it. Nobody's gonna, it's a win-win situation. Why? Because here we are going to do one thing, and that's where the design of the Thai Women for the San Diego chapter comes in. The way we are envisioning is we are going to enroll as many entrepreneurs, and they can be in any field, and I'm going to develop like a SWOT team. What that means is we are going to quickly assess these entrepreneurs and see, it's like a gap analysis, identify where they need help, and then go seek those resources to do that mentoring and coaching and prepare them and send it out. Why am I saying that about it? Is because that's where each one of you will kick in. See, what I am trying to get via the vehicle of Thai Women is to develop a database, a resource database. That is, every one of you here and in the community, every one of us can give back. Like Kevin was saying, this is your opportunity to give back. And what is it you need to do? Well, the participating people in the competition are women, but mentors and coaches don't have to be only women. They can be all of you guys, okay? So in this high-tech AI conference, I have the very high-tech index cards. Okay, I'm gonna pass it on to each one of you guys, okay? The idea is take a card, put your name and phone number and your contact information on one side, and on the other side, I want to tell in your own words how you can contribute. You can say, I know about technology, or I know about marketing, or I can. So what the idea is, we are going to take that information, develop a database of resources, and when the so-called SWOT team comes in, looks at, how these are the needs of the entrepreneur, and then they look at this database and figure out, oh, that person can help coach this particular startup, or whatever. So, and it doesn't have to be just for Thai women. It can be used for any of the resources, any of the programs and initiatives, and going forwards, it can be used when we do not know how beneficial that's going to be. So that's one thing I want to do. And I think, do I have any more minute, like a minute, 2 more minutes? Fantastic. So, so having said that, now what I'm gonna do is after this, please collect these cards, fill it up, and either give it back to me. And I see some of the Thai women. Oh, one last thing I want to say, that we had the kickoff, as Vinay was saying, we had the kickoff exactly a week ago in this very building for Thai women kickoff. And you will see, if time permits, there's going to be a short 2-minute video. And you will see some of the women, Thai women, some of the women who have already signed up to give back to the society. And you will see some of the names. And I want to see all of your names there, okay? And so your giving back would be your own inward journey. Please encourage this Thai women, the women entrepreneurs, and then let's make a good first year and send some amazing entrepreneurs for this global program. I do want to say that I see some of the women who have been part of it. I see Deepa there, Bhargavi somewhere there, and I see Ashika there, and I see Siha is there, and Veda is here. So these are all the women. These are the young women who are already featured in the video. Sorry, I'm stealing all the thunder and give it away. And any questions, you can reach any of us if you have any questions. Thank you.
Round of applause for Haima again. And we are running short on time, so I want to give Sandeep a quick call. So if you come over, introduce the panel, and take it from here.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you, Ram. Thank you, Jay. Thank you for putting this great event on. My name is Sandeep Varma, and can you guys roll the video? I'm here to head up the financial side of the equation. Ashwin, Janak, Ashwin, why don't you guys have a seat here, please? Come on up. Janak, where are you? So first of all, I'd like to take a moment to thank Jay and Ram for putting this great event. Isn't this a great event, guys? Give them a big hand. I also would like to acknowledge and recognize someone very special, Anil Kripalani, who is responsible for me joining this chapter 2009, okay? And this is a great organization, and those of you who are new to Thai, I want to ask you to get involved. Look at this event that we're putting on. All of you bring a lot to the table. We have a phenomenal chapter, and we want to grow. Jay has set the bar really high this year. He would like to have 100 charter member by the end of the year. If you're not a charter member, please help. And if you know somebody who could really use your help. Okay, ready, guys? All right, roll it.
When Tesla was on the verge of bankruptcy in 2008, they decided to bring me in to turn things around. I was hell-bent to revitalize the company and to get rid of anyone who wasn't giving his best. One day, I spotted a blue-haired guy leaning against a wall in the office, and I immediately confronted him. "What are you doing?" He replied, "I'm just waiting to get paid." I was furious. "How much do you make?" Nervously, the guy said, "About $420 weekly." I immediately gave him $2,000. "Here's 4 weeks' pay. Leave and never come back," I said firmly. He happily accepted the check and left, feeling like he had hit the jackpot. After a moment, I saw my staff talking in the corner. Confused, I asked if something was wrong. One brave soul spoke up. "Boss, you just gave a huge tip to the pizza delivery guy."
I start that video because with great AI comes great responsibility. And question is, was that real or fake? Okay, we don't know. You don't know. We're not sure yet, but there's a lot of things going on with AI that affects the financial industry. And I'm honored to have 3 gentlemen give you a small segment of the financial industry. But before I do that, I also want to acknowledge a couple of people. Okay, number one, I'm going to be a little bit selfish here, is that I head up the nonprofit organization called the Entrepreneur Academy /TYE, Young Entrepreneur. We're recruiting for the class of 2026. If you have high school kids or know somebody else wants to be involved with this program, we have a lot of fun. This is a great shot from the global competition for the winning team from the class of 23. Sorry. Also, I want to take a moment to thank a couple of people from my staff. Dana and has been awesome. Next slide, please. She has been not only involved with the Academy, but also with helping with Ty. She was up late last night getting all your name tags ready, everything else. My staff has been very instrumental in helping out. So let's give them a big hand, please. Next slide. All right, let's get started. I want to have Ashwin just basically give us a little segment. All of their bios and everything is in here, so I want to be effective with our time, give them a chance to speak, to talk about, from a CFO point of view, how AI is affecting people. Ashwin, would you take it away, please?
Thanks for having me. One of the slices, as Sandeep mentioned, I'm going to be speaking about is how the CFOs are looking at AI and what are the implications within a small, medium-sized organization that they are interested in pursuing on this topic. I work with a company called CFGI, so it's Corporate Finance Group, private equity-owned firm. And we support a lot of different size organizations, small and medium sizes, and primarily the CFOs. So it's a perspective coming in from that background. So quickly, when we ask the CFOs, like, what are their priorities? Well, what are they looking at when they hear the topic AI? The first thing they want to know is, what is the ROI of making this investment, particularly for their own sake, when they want to bring in these capabilities into the CFO functions, but also into the organization. As everybody has talked about before, there can be a lot of cost, and the benefits are sometimes more long-term. So the CFOs do understand that. So the next question that comes to them is, if I want to make a change within my organization, what is it that within the finance organization I can do differently? And the area that AI has been particularly helpful for them, I'll just break it down. The CFOs are looking at their strategic finance areas and their standard operational finance areas. Strategic finance meaning that M&A activity is responding to their investors. So that's not an area that they're really looking for help right away. But what they're looking for help is more on the day-to-day side, being able to make their month-end close, being able to manage their working capital, being able to manage their cash flows. So these are the topics. I'll be able to elaborate a little bit more. Thanks.
Janak?
Hey, everybody. Nice to meet all y'all. And thanks for having me, Sandeep. So just quick background, I'm an investor at Altai Capital. We are a fundamental investor, so we do a lot of deep research, qualitative and quantitative research on our companies. Our typical holding period is more long-term, 2 to 10 years. We're ultimately in the game of, we only have access to public information, so we don't have we can't get confidential information from companies, so we are actively trying to find information that's available or that's spilling out of data sets, credit card data, for example, and also looking through like LinkedIn, Twitter, what executives might be posting about their business. And so 3 things I'd like to talk about in terms of how we're thinking about AI is, 1, how it's impacting our opportunity set, that the investments that we think are interesting or not interesting in this new world of AI. 2, how it's impacting our workflows. And 3, we've had some self-reflection of, do we get impacted at some point? Do we get disrupted away? And so I thought you guys might find my insights interesting on these 3 topics. But first on the opportunity set, like, we're re-underwriting everything in this new world. We have to think about, as you guys have heard today from the speakers, AI is being incorporated very quickly into all sorts of businesses across all sectors. So from our perspective, we have to apply an AI lens and understand, okay, how is AI an opportunity for this company? How is it a threat for this company? When does the disruption happen? Does it happen in 1 year? Does it happen in 5 years? Does it happen in 10 years? What are the things these companies are doing in order to deepen their moats with this new existential threat that's there, right? And so we don't have all the answers because things are changing so quickly, but we are developing the framework of, there's certain sectors that we thought were bulletproof, like software, for example, that no longer are bulletproof. You have to really think about, okay, will this company actually get disrupted away, and how long will that take? So that's number 1 in terms of like the opportunity set. It's definitely shifting the way we think about businesses, and even like if you think about the way how much you'd pay for a business, like my viewpoint is, if you're buying a software company for 10 times revenue, in this new world, it's probably not worth 10 times revenue. It's probably worth 7 times revenue, right? Just because there's a lot of uncertainty about what the future looks like. On workflows, right? So if you think about the investment process, right? The top of funnel investment process, which is, hey, here's this company, go look at it, tell me everything about it. There's a lot of manual labor there, and that's where AI has been really helpful for us in order to gather information in a much more efficient way. I can learn very quickly about a company's competitors, their suppliers, their partners, former executives. I can get all this intelligence that was taking a lot of time before. It's a lot quicker now. We use a CRM to put all our information that we gather on companies, much the same way as a Salesforce would use a CRM. We use it actually in a different way. But like we use a company called DryMerge to automate all that collection from emails, from calls. Now it's in one database. Before it was a very manual process for us. We subscribe to data set companies that basically automate scraping of data from filings and presenting that in a very efficient manner. It's still not fully accurate, but it saves us a lot of man hours. So I think for top of funnel research that we're doing, AI is definitely being utilized pretty heavily. Now the question we ask ourselves is, will we get disrupted? Will you have AI in the future develop an investment thesis and, sorry, am I cutting out? Sorry if I am. What's up? Yeah, man. Thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, so one of the things we're thinking through is, do we get disrupted? If you think about the investment world, quantitative trading has been run by bots for 15 years now, right? So it's basically, if you think about like, day trading, like minute by minute or second by second type trading, it's bots against bots. Like humans aren't really that involved anymore. As you go longer out on the time curve, however, there's a lot more variability in what can happen to a company, right? Their business is changing every day. Senior executives are resigning or being added. Like it's really hard for a generative AI engine to like really think through like the nuances of is that a good thing for the company? Is that a bad thing for the company? And so, for now, we think we are okay. We're going to be around for a bit, but we definitely are actively monitoring and understanding. Like, okay, if you might see AI engines that can, trade 30 days out, right, and be successful. So those are things that we're kind of thinking through.
Janak, first of all, I want to thank him. He drove down from Orange County to be here for our panel here, but Abhi actually drove down from LA. So Abhi, thank you for coming down. We appreciate you. Please introduce yourself properly. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. I'm being told that keep it brief because I'm the villain between you guys and lunch. So a little bit about myself, and nice to be here. Last time, Naresh, I was here. I was in a Shark Tank trying to chew all the founders alive, and I'm back here on the other side of the spectrum. So nice being here, and thank you so much for all of you being here on a lovely Saturday, which is not so sunny. In terms of artificial intelligence, as an investor, I have been associated with venture capital industry since 2010, have been investing in purpose-driven AI ever since then, and one of the folks did come in back then and said, we are taking AI to the next level. We are going to call it assisted intelligence. Good. A few years down the line, it was augmented intelligence. Few years down the line, then again, autonomous intelligence. You know what I said? I draw the line at absent intelligence. So what we see here, there was something that did come up that are we living in a bubble or a hype? I would say that we are in a constant state of bubble. AI has been there since 1956 Dartmouth conference when John McCarthy coined the word AI, artificial intelligence. And now that we are back in this era wherein every other founder is pitching and selling their BS to me. By BS, I mean brilliant strategy. I don't know what we are thinking. Those who get the pun. So their BS is all about agentic AI these days. Well, my friends, agentic AI architecture has existed since 1963 when ELIZA was being formulated by Joseph, one of the MIT researcher, Joseph Reisenbaum. So the thing is that this is like kind of in a constant flux. Not sure how many of you have watched the movie Twister, when there was a cow that was kind of swirling around and they asked like, whoa, so many cows. Well, no, that's the same cow, just kind of swirling around. So that's the world of AI for you. One of the other hat that I wear, besides being an investor and a partner at Seracap Ventures, an early stage B2B firm. I'm also an advisor to Los Alamos National Lab and Sandia National Lab. Yes, hashtag Oppenheimer, amazing movie. But yes, they do many more things beyond kind of being responsible for the nuclear bomb. These days, what our labs are looking for is how do we really advance in true sense. My friends, LLM is not AI. You know, the path to the true AI, or artificial general intelligence, you need much more. You need the causal reasoning models. And then you have to really kind of understand your AI is only as strong as your compute and data. And until the time we get all the advancements in quantum technologies empowering our quantum computing, it will be very difficult to get to that state of nirvana wherein we will see AI really becoming really kind of effective in a way. Is it on the right path? Yes, of course. There are amazing advancements that we get to see. And AI is disrupting venture capital within as well as outside. What I mean is that, yes, we are investing in companies that are really disrupting the status quo, especially in the venture capital world as well. If you Google Seracap Ventures, Zive, Z-I-V-E, and Abhi Mukherjee, you will see my quote, I was responsible for investing in that company. That is disrupting the fund administration, some of the mundane stuff that really kind of holds us back from having focus on due diligence and deal sourcing than to some of those repetitive operative tasks. So yes, AI is disrupting the world of venture capital inside out on the due diligence, on the KYC AML. There are so many things that Kaina, Quid, Traction, Decile Hub, there are so many companies that are really disrupting the status quo. But at the same time, we are always very cautious to segregate and understand all the amazing BS that comes our way from the founders. So we have to wear that hat and understand what AI truly means and how it's creating an impact. So I'll leave you with those words and back to you, Sandeep.
Very good, Abhi. Awesome. I've been a financial advisor. This is my 35 years in business, and I got to tell you, the changes that are taking in the financial world is incredible. If you're a young individual coming into the business, there's never been a stronger time to be in the financial industry. There's so much changes going on. The things that we do today, somebody talked about a typewriter earlier, okay? In my time, the changes that have taken place, there was a time where I would review trust and it would take us an hour, maybe an hour and a half to review somebody's trust, pull the nuggets out, the important figures that needs to be addressed and what are the problems with it. That, we have a software now for the financial industry. I can upload that trust and I have an answer in less than 2 minutes. The changes that are taking place is incredible. I've never seen anything like it, all right? Now, what the future looks like for AI from a financial advisor's point of view makes our time more efficient, makes us more accountable for the things that the client needs. Spend more time with them on the face-to-face, what AI can't do. AI can do a lot of stuff, but the good old-fashioned meeting with clients, understanding their problem, things like that, kind of like what Dr. Prabhakar is saying, these are tools to help us to do things better. But the future, my God, it's so bright. Ashwin, would you tell us a little bit? Yes, quickly. Might repeat the question real quick. Whoever wants to go.
Sure, I can answer that. Yeah, I mean, I think I would be skeptical of a lot of these offerings because, you've had get-rich-quick schemes for, since the beginning of time, and people throw on like Abhi's saying, people throw on AI like it's this newest thing that's been around forever, right? So I would be kind of skeptical of those things, and it's all about back testing, right? So if someone's promising you 15% returns per month, they have to provide transparency around how has that model performed over the last 5 years, right? They can't provide that to you, then you probably can't trust that. So.
And this is going to be a constant state of flux. You will be getting some amazing, so good to be true kind of offers. And at times, they are really so good to be true. If they were so good, one may ask why some of the companies, like AI companies, are shutting their doors, like almost 2 to 3 companies a month globally. So you can imagine, once you have put all your moat around the technology, at the end of the day, they are like basing it on, okay, how I can use those reasoning models, and what OpenAI might provide you, what DeepSeek is going to provide you. But the thing is, they are also evolving. Can you really churn a lot of data and find out what's going on and develop a pattern around it? Yes. But can it be absolute? No. Because remember the day DeepSeek got announced, the entire stock market tanked. Who would have predicted that? There's so many things. And that's why I tell people, can you really spell brain without AI? There's a reason we have brain, and let's use it.
Wow, well put, well put. I want to throw a mind-blowing fact at you guys, and this affects every aspect of our presentation today. There are more people alive today than all of humanity that came before us. Think about that. And how does that impact the medical community, the financial community, and other aspect of it? Think about that. Ashwin, would you talk about the, next place, you have a slide that you want to go over with?
Sure. So let me bring it up. So this was just a slide sharing something from my late father-in-law about next practices. I'm just going to skip through that quickly that I had shared.
Coming from large companies, benchmark best practices. If we do that systematically, we will all gravitate towards mediocrity. Entrepreneurs don't have any use for best practice. They're interested in next practice.
Thank you. The reason I brought it up is if you look at what, again, coming in from the CFO's agenda, they're already using best practices for what they're doing, but they're still struggling given the current volatility and market. So what is it that they can do differently? AI is one of the tools that they can think of as a next practice, and I wanted to bring that as a reference to that. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Janak, would you like to have some closing comments?
I don't know what else. I'd love to meet more people here, so please come up to me and love to learn about what you guys are doing and compare notes on industries or subsectors that are, that you think are interesting in this new world and things that might, we'd like to look at. We're very paranoid about about the world, and so we are also looking at what are the risks, right? Which companies are being disrupted like first, right? We want to be avoiding those companies. So please come up and let's have a discussion.
Janak, if I'm a new charter member who's just part of TIE, what can you help me with as I'm starting my own company? What can you help? How can you help us?
Oh,
that
yeah,
was all three of you, by the way.
Yeah, I think like sharing next practices on tools that AI-assisted tools that we're all using, I think is super helpful, right? Because there's so many companies out there. There's so much funding that's been thrown at this, but I think only a few of these companies will survive, and so it's kind of important to think through, even within a certain subset of like AI companies, which ones are the strong ones, which ones are the weaker ones,
Same thing for him as well, what you can do for
But thanks again. So on the AI topic, it's specifically using the lens I mentioned earlier, the trade-offs that your firms are trying to manage, given the current environment, lead up sometimes towards the outcomes that you don't really desire, like cost-cutting measures lead towards maybe headcount measures. There are ways AI and other tools have been used in the past to see what are the different ways that you could create the same kind of outcomes, but without the traditional kind of methods you have been using before. So I would suggest keep your eyes open, keep your mind open for other tools that can help you think through these kind of trade-offs in a different way. Thanks.
Avi?
Well, how much time do I? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I know. You know, people, by the look of you, you all look so grumpy, you know, and hangry. So, just kind of briefly summarize. One of the things that had happened to me, I got elected as the board member at TIE SoCal, and I want to kind of see as to how some of those young entrepreneurs. When I say young, it's not the age. You know, there's a state of mind. You know, how when you have embarked upon the journey and how some of the venture capitalists view them as you progress along the stage from just being an angel round to more of a pre-seed to a seed, a Series A. So how we can provide you some of the insights and guidance in terms of you being ready for that conversation. So that's how I look forward to kind of giving back to TIE and then see how we can orchestrate that value. And that's the essence of TIE, giving back. And then kind of creating that ecosystem. Doesn't matter TIE SoCal or TIE South Coast San Diego, we are part of the one big family, and that ties us together.
Agreed.
And on that note, well, my friends, there will be a lot of the AI-related, so TIE is like TIEification. AI-related advancements that you're going to see. Well, you will see DeepSeek has come in, Manus has come in from China. Yes, we are also trying to kind of catch up on that and then make those advancements. But the fact remains that we should really look at AI as more like an enabler, never the driver. Remember the time when the first industry revolution happened and the farmers were thinking, oh my goodness, the steam engine power is here, what are we gonna do? See, farming is still alive. It's about the adoption of those technologies, of all the advancements that's around you. It's not about kind of losing jobs. There are new jobs that are getting created. How do you really kind of refine and redefine your currency? How you want to be staying relevant? That is the name of the game. AI is something that's there to kind of enable and empower humanity. But again, when you see Terminator, then you will see and talk about me, oh, what about that? We're far away from digital singularity. So let's hold on to that. And if you have any more questions, I'm available. During lunchtime, we can just have fun and have conversations. Looking forward to it. Thank you again.
Let's give our panel a big hand, please.
Thank you.
I want to thank again Ram and Ajay for having us. Thank you very much. Everybody, one last big push for Jay's big goal for 100 charter member by the end of the year. Jay, thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, Sandeep. I just wanted to make one real quick announcement. We have our sponsor pavilion out here. They made all of this possible, so after you serve yourself some food, if you can, just try to venture out there, see what they're all about. You heard from Sipper AI, Adia. Go see what their technology is all about as well. Thanks.